Hey, what it do?
Ahoy!
What's up, guys?
You short-timing son of a bitch.
Girls?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be guys and girls?
Because that's all there is.
Clay Travis.
Yes, Clay Travis.
Unbelievable.
Filling in for Isache today.
Canceled. Canceled.
Hey, man, I don't know. I don't know anything about any of that stuff.
I don't know either.
All I do is sports.
You cis bitch.
And I'm bad at that.
Aren't we? Is that what that is?
Whoa.
Cis?
What's
Yeah, I
that
think
mean?
you're right.
I think we're cis.
Why?
Because I think if you're like a straight male, then I think you're just cis, and that's like lame.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Look at me. You think I know? I think that's what
Cis.
you no longer are just a guy. You have to be cis.
Like sissy?
I
Is that
don't-
what that means?
No,
Are we snowflakes?
It's CIS, I think. I don't.
All this terminology. I can't keep up.
Remember when I committed the hate crime because I got confused by the person walking into New Seasons?
Oh, yeah, you said, "I'm sorry, ma'am," and they were really upset.
Sorry, you were wearing a bedazzled vest with big metal buttons
So
and a
cis
short haircut.
Cis.
is short for cisgender, denoting or relating to a person whose gender identity corresponds with the sex registered to them at birth, not transgender.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just what you were aside what you got here.
Yeah, that lady, the lady that was in a hot air balloon
I
in her
see.
spare time, she called me a cis bitch.
So we're cis because we're males.
No,
even
you're
though-
cis because you're the same gender now that you were born.
Okay.
So, I only learned about that because again, I was yelled at and called.
I'm gay.
And I didn't know what it meant, and so then I was like, I had to ask somebody, and then my kids informed me, and I was like, oh, I was like, all right.
You know, kids should teach classes on this stuff.
It's very well. My
For
daughter,
us olds.
my daughter keeps me up. Well, when someone calls you that, and clearly they were unhappy with me, even though I was trying to be nice. When someone calls you something that clearly is meant to be an insult, it's upon you to then figure out, like, I needed to know what that insult was. But it turns out the insult was just calling me a man, which, all right.
Constantly offended person is the worst.
Yeah.
And look, I get there are times when it's truly offensive.
Sure.
Things are truly offensive. I'm
Absolutely.
not saying that, but you know the type that's just offended by everything, and it's just like,
Well, and I
outta
understand
here
the
with that.
frustration because I'm
I'm
sure
out.
that person gets people confused.
Yeah, but how do
that
you
person a
not-
lot. But when you,
but wait, how do you not have some semblance of an idea that not everybody
You would have to.
is up to speed with this, and that's okay?
Bingo.
We're trying.
well, it'd be like one thing. Like if I dressed up like a minotaur every day of my life, big bullhead, ring in my nose, horns, and then someone was like, "Hey, bull," and then I was like, "How dare you? I'm a minotaur."
I'm a
And-
cis.
right? Like, I'm sorry, but when you
A
have
cis bovine.
there are some things that if you dress and you look a certain way from behind or at a glance, yes, I still contend that there is nothing wrong with saying ma'am. And
there's
holding
nothing
a
wrong
door.
with dressing like that or having
No.
your hair like that or anything like that, but don't be so upset when people are confused.
Yeah. Right.
You can't be upset when I ma'am you. You can't.
Because you're
Yeah.
trying to extend a genuine courtesy.
Yes, and then if you don't know, that was when. Then I got scared because then I was like, "Oh crap, it's a man," and I offended, and then I went and said, "Sorry, sir," and then that double offended, and because she was a gal, but it was, and I got into a rabbit hole of being offensive when I was just trying to be nice and let someone go ahead of me.
What if you broed her?
What's up, bro? Fist
Sorry,
bump?
bro.
I don't know. And I got yelled at for being a
Man.
cis bitch.
I think that we should just not.
Nah, it's
even-
brutal, dude.
I think the right play isn't the right play to just not address someone by.
Yeah, well, that's
Gender,
what
right?
and that's what people were saying.
That's what
but
everyone's saying now.
At the same time,
Hello, how are you?
Yeah,
Nice
I
to
just-
see you.
I felt bad. Like I, in my old white man ways, thought that saying "ma'am" here, I thought I was doing something nice. So
Yeah.
there
Well,
just
you
needs-
weren't.
There needs to be some leeway when someone ma'ams you because they're not trying to be an ass; they're trying to be nice. Intent matters. That's what I say about like the targeting rule in football. Intent matters. Are you headhunting or do you have incidental contact? And I believe that at New Seasons was incidental contact. Yeah, you may throw the penalty on me, but there was no intention to hurt anyone. I was trying to play
Yeah.
the game the right way.
I just think these people need to talk to those who have been discriminated against for a long time. Like this, like for example, black male on our text line, Vancouver Ford text line. I'm a black male. I don't correct every 8-year-old white person when they use the word colored.
80-year-old white person.
Yeah, not 8-year-old, 80.
80.
That makes more sense.
Yes.
But you know, like
Yes.
they hear that all the time probably.
Oh, absolutely.
And they don't correct them.
No, because the 80-year-old white person, it's
They've been going through this
yeah.
a lot longer than you have. Maybe talk to them.
what is that?
Look, it doesn't make it right. It just, you know.
But
Bill
a
Burr,
lot of it's changed.
Bill Burr does a great bit on this where he talks about this whole group and somehow how they jumped the fence of oppression.
Yeah.
To the front,
They're
the
at the
front
front
of
of the line now. Like, dude, you wait your turn. A lot of people had it way worse than you.
And they still don't have it better.
There was a whole group of people
Right.
there that you did cutsies right in front of the impression line.
Yeah, just go talk to a woman, or is that offensive?
Although I know that I'm still at the back of the line because as a middle-aged
Yeah.
white guy,
Well, you
just
and I are. I'm back there with you.
sit
and
down
so
and
is Ryan Buckley.
sit down and take your talking to.
Buckley,
right?
we have no rights
No,
at all,
No.
and we're ashamed to be sisses.
Someone said, Vancouver Ford text line, real lesson here, don't be polite or helpful. See, and I hope that doesn't...
Wrong.
Well, that's the thing is if
Wrong.
people do
I
get that
don't-
way, then it discourages communication in society.
Exactly.
Wrong.
Yeah, which is
Always
why
be polite and helpful.
I don't feel bad, although next time I won't ma'am anyone. I'm learning. Don't ma'am. Just
How about this?
Here
Let's
you go.
also not take it personally when someone shames us.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know,
Yeah.
Suck it up, white boy. How about that?
Should have asked them
They.
where they
Them. They.
where they got that sweet denim rainbow vest.
Girl, you something else.
I don't know where you get such a
Girl.
vest. Denim vest is a whole thing. Like that
Probably-
is a commitment. When you go denim vest, like purple bedazzled rainbow vest, woo!
It's probably Buffalo Exchange.
That's got to be handmade, I would think. Someone's got a bedazzler at home. They're working overtime there. It's a whole thing. Sports?
I'm gonna sports pretty hard today.
Oh, I bet.
I'm coming hard.
We've only got like a day.
Whoa.
Well, no, you're here tomorrow too.
Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow,
I mean, you're.
but don't expect much from me
Oh no,
because the Masters will be on.
I
clear-
came hard today.
clearly you golfed today, or at least
I
hit
did,
balls.
yeah. I played. Hey, by the way, shout out. Can I shout out? I don't usually do this,
Yeah, shout out. Let's go.
but you know him. That's why I'm gonna. And the listeners kind of know him.
Yeah.
Scott Wamser took my money today.
Ah, Wamser. Was he wearing scrubs at the time?
No, he shot a 69,
Ooh.
and I got to tell you,
Wamser shot a
it was
60
impressive.
At Langdon?
No, at his country club,
Oh,
his very exclusive white country club where he happens to be black.
Yeah.
But he's probably the only black guy there.
he's there for profiling purposes.
Yeah.
Love-
finally a black guy. You're
Love
in.
Wamser. 69.
Wamser's great. He played great
Wow.
today, so I have to give him some love.
Interesting.
It was not pretty for us.
No, wipe the floor with you.
Yep.
Yeah, it
That
happens.
I mean, yeah,
When someone goes out and shoots a buttery, as you like to say, 69.
and it was buttery.
Sometimes you just tip your cap and walk
Yeah,
away, right?
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
Yeah,
It
tip
was
the-
a road game for us, and
tip the hat, cowboy. That thing's over.
the home team showed us what's up.
It happened. As my coach once said, they have scholarships too. Sometimes they get you.
Yep. So yeah, golf today. I'll be watching the Masters tomorrow. Then I'm leaving for Augusta on Friday. So I'll sports real hard today, and then everything else you can,
Yeah, we got you.
bets are off. All right, fella.
Well, we got some ugliness today out of UW. That's a ugly little
Oh, yeah.
story. Baylor-esque, if
We've
you will.
got 2 rape things today.
Yeah, that's not. That's
what's
not
the other
good.
one?
That's
Ben McLemore.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see
Did you
that
see
one.
that?
You didn't see
Uh-uh.
that? Well, someone texted me that yesterday and said if you want to be the first, but I couldn't confirm it, even though this person's pretty reliable.
Look at you trying to break news.
I'm not trying to break news because I'll tell you what, you don't go. I'm not going on the air and being like, "Hey, former Blazer rape," without 100% of certainty that is indeed what happened.
Why would you want to be like? Why would you even want to break that story?
Yeah, I don't.
Well, some
who
people
cares?
care about that.
Some people love it.
like the clout that it gives
Yeah,
them.
I guess
Yes.
so. Too. I guess that's true.
If he was chasing
But
clout.
even if
My
but
response
wait,
was
wait,
just yikes.
even if Suk tweeted that,
Yeah.
like I would assume you would break that on Twitter because you weren't on the show.
No, that would happen during the show.
Oh,
I got that at like 3:25.
well, I just think if you said it, people wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, well, it's a valid point.
That's kind of our credibility at this
well,
point.
look, this show really isn't about breaking rape news.
Well, not if you ask Ron Pivo.
No.
Remember Ron
I
Pivo?
do remember Ron Pivo.
Ron Pivo once yelled at me on the phone and said, "Why don't you get back to what you're supposed to be doing?" And that's breaking news.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, Ron, clearly you don't know what we do.
No. Yeah, I
That
got
was
Ben-
after he got heat for the Bono interview.
Yeah, well, you know,
Am I bugging you, Ron?
it may not be breaking news, but you know what else I do, Ron? Or I don't do? I don't do fake Bono interviews and then go, nor do I sell real estate. Good luck with that. Yeah, someone dropped the Ben McLemore in jail on rape charges. Hasn't hit the news yet. And
Yeah,
was
I didn't
like,
know. Did you know that he was here?
No, I can't say that I did.
Who knew that Ben McLemore lived here?
I don't know. Of all the Blazer greats,
Blazer great Ben McLemore.
well, Blazer great Ben McLemore now that's
Jayhawk great Ben McLemore, right?
Yeah,
been
we
arrested
don't-
on rape
Not
charges.
claiming him
No,
anymore.
we don't claim him. We never
no.
did. We didn't like him.
Wasn't he pretty good?
He's fine. He was a little overrated. He was kind of one of those first guys that they touted as a one and done, and so of course that back then we actually expected a lot out of one and dones.
Yeah.
And he, when you have expectations like that, it's hard to live up to them. Because
Yeah.
those they're just freshmen. Like they're generally not that good unless you get the Anthony Davis or the Carmelo Anthony.
Sure.
So Ben McLemore was one of those, and so we hated him. Like he's overrated.
Well, and now he's a potential.
Yeah, but we don't even know the
Hardened
deets.
criminal.
We don't know
No.
the deets.
No, we don't.
So who
Some of the
knows?
deets are about the UW one. Again, it's all allegations, and he has been
We got
arrested.
a rape. We got a football player arrested for rape.
Not one rape. That'd be dose.
I remember reading about the allegations of the first one circulating on social media like in December of last year, and they're pretty nasty. The details.
Yeah, it's not good. And then someone has gone into.
Oh, are rape details ever not nasty?
No, they're never not nasty, but
It's a valid point.
it's I don't know, the attitude and actions are just extremely predatory. It's not good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a weird. It's a weird line. It's like, yeah, there's rape, and then there's like rape.
And
No,
it's- And their degrees of it, I think he's been charged with second and third degree, so I don't know how those differentiate from first and from each other.
Who's the guy?
but
Who's the player? Rogers? or
Tybo
something?
Rogers.
Tybo Rogers.
Yeah.
Is he a good player?
He was he was a freshman,
freshman.
so he didn't play a ton last year. He's a running back, so he backed up a really good starter. But they think he's talented.
It's weird.
Well, he's off the team now, probably.
Well, yeah, he's. It's.
I don't know. Jed
we-
Fish.
We can get into a whole thing. 'Cause then, well, and then Fish got into it because a reporter chastised him, and Fish got to hit him with the "I wasn't the coach.
I just got here.
I just got here."
Why don't you talk to some guy named Kalen DeBoer about that? As if he could have prevented it.
Yeah, it's a weird. Well,
People are weird.
well, this gets into a
The
whole.
world's
This
weird.
gets into a whole thing because who's the Illinois basketball player?
Terrence Shannon.
Terrence Shannon, who was their best player. Terrence Shannon was arrested and charged with rape in Kansas, by the way. Well, the Jayhawk. What the hell is going
No,
on in
he's not a
Lawrence?
Jayhawk. Whoa,
No,
whoa, whoa,
he
whoa,
was
whoa, whoa,
in
whoa,
Lawrence,
whoa, whoa, whoa,
Kansas.
whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
Lawrence
whoa,
is
whoa,
6
whoa,
degrees of
whoa,
separation
whoa,
with all
whoa,
of this.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I'm out.
He's from Illinois.
He's from Illinois.
He was in Lawrence.
Lawrence.
What's the word? What's the damn word?
Oh. Are you
Oh my
okay?
God! What is the word for like he was?
Huh?
He was.
Visiting? What are you?
Oh my God!
Are we gonna charades? Sounds like two words.
I don't get. They bring man cold, but they're.
Anyway, he was preying on the
Oh,
young women.
Okay.
Took me a bit to get that word.
Yeah, I was like, huh? So he's praying with them, like on?
No, he was preying on them,
Not
Oh.
BYU praying, different kind of praying.
No, we
on our
into it.
innocent girls in Lawrence.
So he was arrested, charged. He goes back to Illinois. They suspend him, and he sues and is like, "You're not suspending me," and he won. And then so he
Well, there you
played.
go.
Yeah, basically innocent until proven guilty injunction.
Well, and that's
Well, isn't that a thing though? Innocent
And
until
that
proven?
is a thing.
Yes.
But now public outcry has
Yeah, the
become
public.
something that everyone considers.
Here we go with the
And
public again.
well,
so we can get into it, but he's actually been arrested
Yeah.
now, whereas
Yeah.
before he was just
it was
accused.
alleged, yeah.
And so is
He's alleged.
Macklemore. Macklemore's in jail
Yes,
unless he posted bail, but
but he was arrested. Yes,
they had a warrant out for him.
yeah.
Picked him up.
But that was during the football. The Tybo was during the football season, and then he was gone and back, and then it's crazy. I mean, this has been 6 months. That dude's been through a couple athletic directors and a couple football coaches, and now he has been officially suspended. He's off the team, no team activities, obviously until any of this stuff happens. But I love that one of the reporters at the news conference was giving Fish the business, and Fish is like, dude, as soon as I heard about it, I suspended him. And she's like, you let him play in the Sugar Bowl. And he goes, I wasn't the coach. And then they was like, oh, yeah.
Okay,
But the
all
school
good.
knew.
School knew. But again, what did they know? When did they know it?
Yep, it all matters.
It is a sticky situation because, yeah, when someone is accused of something, like this idea is we suspend him immediately. But, you know, between the Duke basketball players and we've had a handful of these, you got to be careful.
I keep going back to the Bills punter, the Matt Ariza thing,
Ariza.
and I'm not. All these situations are their own individual cases, so it's not easy to compare all of them. But there are certainly times where someone gets cast out when they didn't deserve it.
All right, let's get to going here. We've got our we got hot rape talk apparently.
Let's not use that word together.
Well,
Speaking of violent crimes, I saw Terrell Suggs. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Yikes.
We got
Starbucks
Swizzle.
Starbucks drive-through fights.
Boy,
Yeah, sounds like it.
we got, and that's, by the way, that's not a guy that I'd pick a fight with.
Hell no.
Terrified.
Well, we've got our poll question today. It pertains to the NBA. We'll start there next on The Fan.
But college
Feels like an Isachi day, doesn't it?
Isachi.
That and rest in peace, the great Tom Petty.
Isachi.
Damn Isachi.
So here's our poll question today. It is on X at 1080 The Fan. It is brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling, a family business helping families for over 60 years. AAAIAQ.com. Now today, before we get to today's, I got to get to yesterday's.
All right.
And yesterday's was very salacious. I don't know if you even remember it. You probably don't.
It was so salacious, I blocked it out.
Well, you were a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Who of these people Suk has recently agreed with would you least want to agree with about anything?
Yeah, the correct answer for this is Clay Travis.
So we had
he's such an effing loser.
Yes, he is.
Geraldo Rivera,
Mm-hmm.
Clay Travis, Doug Gottlieb, or Kim Mulkey. Now, those are all on the list because Suk recently agreed with one of their hot takes about
Girl, you
various subjects.
something else.
Yeah, I agreed with all four of them, and that pains me.
Well, it might say something about you, but I'm not saying that. People are saying.
People are talking. People come up to me all the time.
And the winner was Clay Travis,
Yes.
46%. So
You should never agree with Clay Travis.
ever on anything.
And yet I do on this, and it just...
If you agree with
it-
Clay Travis on anything, you are on the wrong side of the argument. And therefore, that means that you
I
are on
probably-
the wrong side of the... What was that about the girls?
Yes.
Caitlin Clark in the 3-on-3 league argument?
Yeah,
You're on the wrong side,
I
pal.
am on the wrong side of that. And yet I feel strongly about it.
No, you feel strongly about everything you think, which is very dangerous.
That is not true.
But that's what we love about you.
No. Dude, I am open to the idea that I'm as full of S as anyone else out there. Just in this case, I feel pretty strongly about it. Except everyone that agrees with me on this, like strongly, I can't stand. And that's
Again,
that's a painful thing.
I think we know what side of the argument you're on.
It's like Joe Rogan and Clay Travis, and I'm like, damn it.
And it's the wrong one.
Like, what is happening?
Kim Mulkey got 21%. You know, that's a bit of an upset. I thought maybe Doug Gottlieb would be up higher.
Yeah.
Geraldo Rivera, 17%.
Geraldo is sneaky douchey.
And
And he
then
made a great point.
Gottlieb, 16%.
Hey,
So
look, sometimes even
interesting.
gargantuan asshats can make a valid point. You know,
I guess that's true.
and that is the dangerous thing that, you can't just
Including
take...
you.
That is, once in a while, I can make a point. You got to be careful with just saying because I don't like that person that nothing they say
Well,
can be true.
not necessarily true of Clay Travis, but yes, generally,
Generally speaking.
that's right.
Shut up.
Today's question, which of these West teams would you least want to face in a 7-game playoff series?
Everyone, by the way, keeps talking to me about how the Lakers are some dangerous team, and yet every time I try to watch the Lakers, like I was trying to watch a little bit of the Lakers and
Last night?
and Golden State
Yeah,
Warriors.
Warriors smoked them
Dubs.
pretty good.
The Lakers suck. Like, why do we keep being like, well, the Lakers?
Well, LeBron and AD, that's why.
Well, AD's
So-
got a bad eye now. He's got Henry Winkler's father's eyes.
Which of the
My eyes are very important to
Very.
me.
My father-in-law's penis lit up a room
God.
wherever he went.
Are you kidding me?
No, we're not.
Which of these West teams would you least want to face in a 7-game playoff series? Suns, Lakers, Warriors, or Mavericks? Vote and vote hard at 1080 The Fan on X.
To me, it's the Mavericks.
Yeah, they're winning so far.
Yeah, when Kyrie and they're playing well. I think they've won like 9 of their last 10. When they're playing well and Kyrie and Luka are clicking, look, that I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, they look good lately, but
The Suns will break down.
you trust them?
I don't trust anyone. But the Suns will break down. Someone will blow something out. The Lakers, I don't trust at all. Golden State, by the way, I think they've won 8 in a row or 8 of 9.
They finally look good, but I don't
Dude,
trust them at
They
all.
finally look good.
They
but-
look great last night.
Yeah, with 26 threes.
They made 63% of their threes.
I mean, and I know that that's not.
and by the way, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Because I don't watch a lot of NBA until this time of year,
Mhm.
in which case I watch some.
It's like the NCAA tournament.
Who is Trace Jackson Davis?
He was a late first-round pick out of Indiana. Big man out of Indiana.
Okay.
And the interesting thing there is that Mike Dunleavy was his agent before he became the Warriors GM.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was watching the Warriors-Lakers last night. I'm like,
some
wait.
Rod Pelinka stuff.
Every once in a while you watch a game, you're like, who's that guy?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
And for me, it was Trace Jackson Davis.
Yeah, he supplanted
Who plays for the-
Jonathan Kuminga in the starting lineup, which was a big upset.
Right. That's why I noticed him. Like who? What?
Yeah.
He plays for the Warriors. Anyway,
That, by the way, can I tell you that is the 100% the truth for probably 90% of the people that are tuning into the NBA right now. Who's that guy?
there's a lot
Where'd
of
he
guys
come
like
from?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's the same thing with the NCAA tournament. And then by the time the Sweet 16 rolls around, you're like, oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah, that guy's great.
Favorite player.
Favorite player. Love that
Been
guy.
watching him all season.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Warriors look really good, but I don't trust them either. I mean, I don't really trust any of those teams. That's why I made those for the poll.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Suns should be better, but they just aren't.
Well, and like the whole Laker thing, I understand that it's LeBron. I understand that it's Anthony Davis. But I keep hearing everyone talk about the Lakers and how they're this dangerous team, and yet
Well,
there
they
they are
are
sitting in 9th place.
Well, so are the Warriors. Here's the thing, though. The Warriors are 10th.
Yeah.
And when's the last time we had a 10 seed in a conference that was 10 games or 9 games over 500?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, that's insane, dude. You remember when the Blazers were kind of wallowing in the 6, 7, 8 range of the West, you know? The 10 seed
Yeah.
was never a winning team.
No.
They're 9 games over 500.
Well, what was Miami when they made their run? Because Miami was in the play-in stuff.
They were in the play-in stuff, but they were closer to a 500 team. They
Yeah.
weren't 9 games over.
Well, I trust my NBA sensei, Tim Legler.
Okay.
I like Tim Legler. I think he's good. And he says, as we all know, his point is 7-game series are just so much different than the regular season.
Absolutely.
So you just can't compare the two. So it really doesn't matter what the Lakers and the Suns are doing right now. They have guys that in a 7-game series, they're going to give a lot of people problems.
Well,
And so he thinks the Lakers are really dangerous. I don't know. I just know they have. I tend to believe him because I think he knows what he's talking about. But also, when you got LeBron James and AD in a 7-game series, when those are long and adjustments are made, and I think that's a different animal. In other words, if I'm the 1 seed, and right now we don't know who the 1 seed in the West is going to be, but the 1 seed in the West, whoever it is likely going to get either the Lakers or the Warriors.
yeah.
That is a tough draw.
Yes. Well, and then on the other side of things in the East, and I don't think that it's going to be, I don't think they're going to end up being the 8th seed. But the one that's scary in the East is, especially if like you're Milwaukee, because Giannis isn't going to, he's done.
Calf injury.
Giannis has that calf injury. They're saying the Achilles is intact and it's a calf injury. We've heard this before. Kevin Durant, the dude's 7'1" and explosive like that. You're telling me he's going to sit out for 2 to 3 weeks and everything's going to be hunky dory? My God, like they should realize at this point they're not winning squat. You can't risk him blowing that thing out. But let's say Milwaukee, whether Giannis comes back or not, they're sitting there in that 2nd spot. There's a good chance they're getting Embiid in the 1st round. You want to talk about an FU? It's that, because when Embiid is healthy, dude, Philadelphia was a top 2 or 3 team in the East. He goes down, and now that he's back, and that's the one that I'm staring at and I want no part of.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
So right now, and there's still 3 games left, so the season wraps up on Sunday. Right now, we would get Celtics versus the play-in winner.
Yeah.
You would have the Bucks against either the Heat or Sixers. That's still up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
You would have the Knicks against the Pacers. And then you would have the Magic against the Cavs. The Magic are the 4th seed in the East.
Yeah. And they got a couple, I think they have 2 left with Milwaukee. So there's a chance that they could catch New York. The Magic could end up being the 3 seed by the time this is done.
And then in the West, you'd have the Timberwolves against the play-in winner, which would be Lakers or Warriors. You would have the Nuggets against the Suns or Kings. You would have the Thunder against the Pels, and then Clippers Mavs.
Dare I say we may get a really interesting 1st round of the playoffs?
Clippers Mavs is nasty.
Yeah.
See, the Mavericks are probably going to win this poll, but I don't trust them as far as I can throw them.
I don't trust them with Kyrie at all.
No.
No, but
Jason Kidd.
I trust him a lot
That
better.
too.
I trust him a lot better than a bunch of old broken athletes in Phoenix and LA. And Golden State, kind of, sort of.
Those would all be intriguing matchups, though. Really,
I'll tell you
intriguing
what,
matchups.
dude. The Warriors last night, and I think the Warriors have shown us here over the last couple of years, they're just not it's like almost over, right?
Feels like it.
But then you turn them on last night and you go, oh my
Well,
God.
When you hit 26 threes, and I was listening to someone talk about
They
this.
looked good.
It's like all year long they were saying with Golden State, it's been that they've never gotten everyone on the same page. 2 guys are up, 2 guys are down, and last night they showed you at least what's capable when everyone's clicking. And what are the chances of that happening on a regular basis? But they're playing their best ball right now. Like I said, I think they've won like 8 of 9, and they're cruising. And by the way, they own the Lakers this season. If that ends up being the play-in game, first off, it's going to do a monster number, and Golden State has absolutely bitch slapped the Lakers. And then who knows what the hell's happening with Anthony Davis and his eye? And they listed him officially out last night with a headache. So
There's poll. It's on X at 1080 the fan. Okay, so do we want to get to the UW rape situation?
yeah, we can talk about that.
Or
Oh, there's an or.
I have come to the table today with audio regarding pitcher injuries.
Ooh. Well, let's get to the pitcher injury because we've been noodling around with that for a couple days, and the other story ain't going anywhere. It's going to be there for a while.
I feel like neither story is going anywhere.
Probably not, except one is not as creepy as the other one. So I'm trying to give ourselves some distance from that first segment before we talk about the rape on Montlake.
That seems
Okay.
wise.
Yeah.
So what is up? Or no, sorry. Sup with all these arm injuries, yo.
Yeah.
That's next. Here's Buck. Baseball, Major League. Well, it's not really a story about only Major League Baseball.
Cross baseball.
It's about pitchers and arm injuries. Some numbers. Last year, there were 263 Tommy John surgeries, more than double the number from 2011. 36% of pitchers at the big league level have had Tommy John surgery. This is the elbow surgery. There were 166 guys on the opening day injury list. 132 of them were pitchers.
The Mets ace, Senga, just got moved to the 60-day DL. He hasn't played at all this year.
And it's really not just an MLB problem. Guys are coming into the league with elbow scars and elbow surgeries on their resume.
I mean, it was a number of years ago that HBO Sports did a piece on this where Dr. James Andrews, who was kind of like the father of the Tommy John surgery, he was and this had to be 10 years ago, that he was saying that he could not keep up with all the surgeries that people were needing. And he said it was alarming because it was young people. And he said there were some children, 14, 15, 16 years old, that didn't necessarily require surgery. They could rehab, and they were like, no, get it out of the way now. I want it. They're volunteering for these surgeries.
Like making it elective.
Making it an elective. They're like, yeah, it could go either way. Nope, it's going to happen anyway, so let me get it out of the way now.
Also, this year's list of opening day starters featured 15 first-timers. That was the most in 30 years. In other words, guys are not able to start back-to-back opening days. I mean, the list of injured pitchers is long, but among the stars, Spencer Strider just went down, Garrett Cole, Shohei Ohtani, Shane Bieber, Clayton Kershaw, Yuri Perez, Robbie Ray, Sandy Alcantara, Jake DeGrom, Max Scherzer, Shane McClanahan. Those are all stud pitchers, and they're all hurt right now. Yep. So and that's not all of them. So it's there's really
then we see Strasburg just retire too. I mean,
did he retire?
He retired. Yeah,
he pitched 31 innings after signing his $245 million contract.
Is that right?
That's right.
Oh my god! Look at Ron Washington. He's livid.
I love me some Ron Washington. He should take his hat off though with his side hair if he's going to go out and yell.
By the way, new fun fact: Ron Washington, the skipper of the Angels.
Yeah,
the Halos.
Yes,
he's back in the game, and he's pissed. What was I saying to you?
They were just talking about the arm injuries. And did you mention that just last season, did you mention the percentage?
36%?
Yeah, 36%.
There's really the problem with it is there's no answer to it. The UCL in the elbow is the weak point of the elbow, and it can't really be strengthened. So when you have pitchers throwing this hard, I mean, think about pitchers throwing 95 to 100 miles an hour, and think about them doing that 100 times every week. Yeah. How is that even remotely normal? It's not. Faster pitchers are harder to hit, so the speed has become the thing, and that's how these guys get paid. And so everybody's chasing velocity. Yeah. So when you chase velocity, which is what is all they care about, it's how they get paid. This is what happens: elbow injuries.
The average fastball in Major League Baseball in 2015, so just 9 years ago, was 92.6 miles an hour. And the average fastball in 2024 is over 94 miles an hour. And that may not seem like a bunch, but when you're taking all the averages, yes. And then the spin rate is also the other one too, is that the spin rate, it continues to go up. So not only are people throwing harder, but they're throwing nasty breaking stuff. And some of these explode, what they call them, like the wipeout sliders now. And some of these cutters that people are throwing that are still 90 miles an hour, but they're diving. Think about the torque that you're putting on your arm and your elbow when you're having to break that pitch off at such a velocity.
And there's really no, like, it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
For these guys, and they all sort of know that it's coming, and it could come at any point. That's the thing. It's you don't feel it. Yep. You feel it, but only after it's too late.
It's like the Achilles.
Like a guy will be pitching fine, and then he feels something on a pitch, and next week he's going under the knife.
Yep.
So it's just this is a really tough one for Major League Baseball, and a lot of pitchers are commenting on it. That was a pretty solid tee up, and if I know us, we'll talk about this for another 8 hours. So we're just going to take a break and come back, and I have audio. I have two ace pitchers who are talking about this and their comments I think are both interesting.
Yeah. 'Cause
For different reasons.
Because you've heard about 4 or 5. I mean, obviously, velocity is the one. The Athletic had the piece where they're saying that far and away the thing that everyone's pointing to, the experts are saying velocity, but there are 4 or 5 other components
for
that,
sure.
that you throw in here that it's not one
It's not
magic
all
bullet.
It's not all about velocity, but it kind of is.
Well, and sometimes I don't like when you watch certain guys throw, boy, you just look at the whip in their arm and you're like, oh yeah. Like, no offense, like Steven Strasburg. When you watched him throw,
Lincecum.
yeah, you just looked at that and you're like, I don't know if it's your elbow or your shoulder, but one of those things is gonna go. It's gonna go now. Like there are some guys that look, I'm not gonna say it's effortless, but it seems way more natural. And other guys, it just is. It's an ungodly amount of torque that you can just see from the naked eye that they're putting on that.
By the way, is Tim Lincecum in any way comparable to Anthony Kim
No,
to you?
Tim Lincecum was so much better than
He was way more dominant than Kim
Yes.
ever was. He won multiple
and it was
championships.
for
He
a
won
long
multiple
time.
Cy Youngs.
Yeah. Tim just, I mean, and he just his arm just died.
He was just a shooting star. I mean, his frame was never going to be able to sustain what he was doing.
No.
2 Cy Youngs,
yes.
Couple World Series.
5 good seasons, and then poof.
Yeah. And now he's like basically kind of in hermitage. Like he's kind of a recluse.
Well, that's kind of where I was
But to see,
drawing comparisons to Anthony Kim.
Yeah.
but to see someone at that size, and again, look at the motion. No way that was going to hold up. But boy, he was something else. And Anthony Kim was more of just a raw talent that never lived up to jack squat. Whereas Tim was on top of baseball.
All right, up next, you're going to hear pitchers talk about pitcher injuries.
Yeah.
Is that hot?
Well, I would assume that
It's hot. Trust me.
I think we should probably listen to the people
Yeah,
that are
and
getting
that's
hurt.
that's what I think. It's like both of these guys have been hurt, and when they talk so specifically about this stuff. It's stuff that you and I can't comprehend. We don't pitch.
Yeah. Whoa. As a middle-aged white man, let me tell you something. Let me give you my take on what's happening here.
Yeah, I know. I have all the answers
all the
here
answers.
at this chair. Fatty.
Dude, I blow up my arm when I'm like throwing a newspaper.
We'll get to that next. It's 3:46 on the Fan. All right, we're talking about Major League Baseball pitcher injuries, the elbow. It's a problem. A lot of guys going down. Can be right, like out of the blue.
Well, and it's not just a lot of guys. It's some of the best in baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing you have a rash of relievers that you've never heard of, but I mean, you've got, the best of the best and Cy Young winners across the board. I mean, aces for how many different teams have gone down?
So Major League Baseball,
including Ohtani again.
They are saying that the league is conducting a comprehensive study on this.
Yeah. And
they started it all the way back in October, and it's still ongoing. And the end result will probably be some sort of task force, But that's they are looking into it.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't understand what, like, I hear pitchers all the time saying something has to be done. Well, you're in control of it. I mean, I understand that this thing needs to be studied, but I've read so many different articles on this, and I've listened to smart people, doctors, and while there is no one magic bullet, it seems like it's a fairly straightforward case of maximum effort all the time, spin rate, the lack of foreign substances now that you're not allowed to use, and so guys are trying to put more spin on it than ever before, putting more torque, and then specialization. People chasing this younger and younger at 12, 13, 14 years old, and like anything else, if you drive a car at 100 miles an hour and you do it from when it's 12 years old to when it's 25, it's going to break down sooner, as opposed to the olden days when you didn't start doing this until you were 18, 19 years old.
So here are two pitchers talking about this, a couple minutes each. The first one is Tyler Glasnow. He pitches for the Dodgers now, but when he was saying all this, you're going to hear this was 2 years ago. So this is not him talking about the pitcher injury epidemic. This is him talking about how he feels he got hurt, what contributed to him getting hurt. And it's pretty interesting.
Tyler, you were pretty frustrated about the ball last night. Just any more thought as to whether that may have kind of played a part in any of this, or has that kind of entered your mind yet?
Convenient and but I 100% believe that contributed to me getting hurt. No doubt, without a doubt. I think it's ridiculous. I have used sticky stuff before. It's ridiculous that it seems like this whole public perception of it's just select few of people. Your favorite pitcher probably 50 years ago was using something too. If you felt these balls, how inconsistent they were, you have to use something. So in the past, my substance of choice is sunscreen and rosin. Just nothing egregious, something to where I can get a grip on the ball so it doesn't feel dusty. But 2 starts ago against the Nationals, I went cold turkey, nothing. And before that start, I remember when all this stuff came out, I was talking to people and talking to doctors, and they were like, the thing that maybe MLB doesn't realize, or that players don't realize, is what is the injury, what is the prevention of maybe it'll add to injuries. And in my mind, I was like, that sounds dumb. That sounds like an excuse a player would use to make sure he can use sticky stuff. But I threw to the Nationals with nothing. I don't use sticky stuff I don't use spider tack. I don't need more spin. I have huge hands. I spin the ball fine. I want grip. I did well against the Nationals, probably one of the best starts I had all year. I woke up the next day and was like, I am sore in places that I didn't even know I had muscles in. I felt completely different. I switched my fastball grip and my curveball grip. I've thrown it the same way for however many years I played baseball. I had to put my fastball deeper into my hand and grip it way harder. And I had to, instead of holding my curveball at the tip of my fingers, I had to dig it deeper into my hand. So I'm choking out all my pitches. My cue I used to use with Snyder was hold the ball like an egg, nice and loose, be loose. That's out of the window. So I now have to develop a new cue. I have to develop something where I can't hold the ball light anymore. I have to dig it deep into my hand. So I'm taking it, and you have to think, I'm not a doctor. I know you guys probably know that, but I'm taking a fastball. I'm squeezing the ball twice as hard. So all of this is, I'm recruiting all these muscles, and I'm taking my arm as hard as I can, throwing the ball. So I'm going from a flexed muscle to letting a ball go. And like I said, I was maybe it's not going to, I don't think it'll lead to any injuries. But waking up after that start, I was like, okay, this sucks. Something is weird here. And then that same feeling is persisting all week long. And then I go into my start yesterday, and that same feeling it pops, or whatever the hell happened to my elbow. I feel it, something happens. And I'm sitting out there just you got to be kidding me. The whole day yesterday, I'm sitting there trying to get a grip on a ball. And I'm not trying to blame anyone. I'm not trying to say oh, this is all MLB's fault. They got thrown into this situation too. They're doing the best they possibly can to navigate around this. They're trying to make this fair for people. I understand that, but you can't, whether you want us to not use sticky stuff or not is fine. Fine. Do it in the off season. Give us a chance to adjust to it. But I just threw 80 something, 70 whatever innings. And then you just told me I can't use anything in the middle of the year. I had to change everything I've been doing the entire season, everything out of the window. I have to start doing something completely new. And then I'm telling you, I truly believe that's why I got hurt. Me throwing 100 and being 6'7" is why I got hurt, but that contributed.
Okay, so right at the end, he glossed over it, but he said, me being 6'7" and throwing 100 is why I got hurt. But, so that goes back to what we were saying, is that most of this is about how hard they're throwing, and that's really just it.
But he is.
He's adding some pretty interesting little.
Yeah, and I've read a handful of guys that are saying that when you don't allow us to have better grip on the ball, we have to grip and try to throw harder, because Major League Baseball, and it goes back to the bigger point, is baseball is now rewarding 100% effort all the time. And that no one throws 8 innings anymore. You are now being told from a young age, you give me 5 innings. And it used to be that guys would, you didn't throw every curveball from to be the nastiest curveball. You didn't throw 98 every time. You had to pace yourself. And they are now saying that this just isn't the case with relievers now, especially, and starters. You go out there and you throw as hard as you can every time. And it doesn't seem like it's that hard of a jump to make. Find anything you do. If you're lifting weights, and every time I go in to lift a weight, I am doing the heaviest possible weight that I can do at max effort. How long before I blow something out? Do that with anything. And yet we're now surprised that guys are breaking down, and we're doing this at a young age. There was a one where they brought up that Shane Bieber last year had the worst velocity of his career. His fastball had fallen off to about 91 miles an hour, and his spin rate was the worst of his career. And so he went to this off-season, I forget the name of the place. There's a place that you go to that for Major League Baseball players, and I guess players of all levels, but this specific training facility, and their whole thing is, we are going to get you throwing harder, and we're going to get your spin rate up. And he went from 91 to 93 miles an hour in one off season, and his spin rate jumped by like 20%. Best it's ever been. And they're posting crap all over on Twitter about this and that. He's never thrown harder. And sure enough, what happens?
Well, he was pitching great, by the way.
Yeah.
He had thrown, I think he only started two or three.
And then what happened?
And he was great, and now he's going under the knife for Tommy John.
So it's like there's this notion of what's the problem? The problem is that you have a system now that is rewarding behavior that is almost a guarantee down the road to hurt you. If all you're doing is chasing velocity, max velocity every pitch, and spin rate as hard as high as it can go every pitch, you're never going to solve this. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. So the question is what can they do about it? And this next piece of audio, which we'll play next, is from another big name pitcher who actually has a pretty level-headed idea. Because not a lot of people throwing out ideas.
No.
Everybody's saying the same thing we're saying. Of course, it's clearly it's obvious what the main culprit here is. So what are we going to do about it?
Stop throwing so hard.
Toss Jamie Moyer back out there?
Well, guys like that don't blow out elbows.
It is 4:00 on the Fan.
It's the home stretch in the NBA. I'm Aaron Hawksworth.
All right, welcome back. It's Isache and Suk. Isache. 406, talking about pitcher injuries in baseball. Interesting topic.
It's a big deal. I mean,
yeah, it really is. This is a tough one.
This is, I know it's not quite the same thing because it doesn't rely on one player quite like the NFL does, but the NFL has radically shifted, mainly because of one thing and one thing only. They have to keep quarterbacks healthy. Look at the lengths that which football has gone to over the last 10 years because they are desperate to keep quarterbacks healthy. And Major League Baseball has not done that when it comes to pitchers. And I know it's a little apples to oranges because I don't know what rules necessarily you implement to keep guys. I mean, pitchers are doing it to themselves, but it is something that if you're Major League Baseball, you have to take a look at this. You can't have this number of marquee players being out year after year and just be like, we'll be fine.
Well, they're definitely looking at it.
Yeah.
But, you read anything about this, any long form piece on this, any deep dive, talk to any or see the interviews with all the pitchers, nobody has any concrete answers. It's a tough one. It's very complex, and it's just not an easy solve. So now we're going to go to Justin Verlander. Okay, so you heard from Tyler Glass now.
Yep.
Here is Verlander. He's down in the minors rehabbing, and he had a few comments on this, including an actually decent idea about something that could be done.
I think the game has changed a lot. I think it'd be easy to sit here and blame the pitch clock. I think in reality, you put everything together, and everything has a little bit of influence. I think the biggest thing is the style of pitching has changed so much. Everybody's throwing as hard as they possibly can and spinning the ball as hard as they possibly can. And, it's hard to deny those results. Obviously, how can you? It's a double-edged sword. How can you tell somebody to go out there and not do that when they're capable of throwing 100? And this young guy comes up and throws a pitch 95 and gives up a big homer, and everybody's like, "What the hell, man?" So something needs to change. I don't have all the answers. I know pitching. And I've been. I don't want to beat a dead horse here. It is what it is. I think the data's out there at this point. But when the balls started to change back in 2016 and they started flying out a bit more frequently, I know myself personally that started changing how I had to approach pitching. You have to start swinging. You have to start approaching the batter as I want swing and miss. I can't have him put the ball in play where the old adage, pitch down, pitch away from the guy, hit your spot, get weak contact early in the count, and then you can kind of go up. And that kind of went out the window when everybody started being able to leave the yard, especially opposite field. And look, like I said, I'm not here to. I've said my piece on that before in the past, and it is what it is. As long as we're all out here competing on an even playing field, that's what I care about, and we all have the same baseball in our hands, so that's that. But I do think that you throw that in the mix, and you throw analytics in the mix, and you throw the pitch clock in the mix, and it all kind of adds up. And it's unfortunate. I don't know how we rewind the clock. Maybe there's some sort of way to incentivize starting pitching, going deeper in games. I remember I talked to Scherzer at length last year with the Mets, and we talked about having the starting pitcher be tied to a DH, and having you have to achieve certain milestones before. If the pitcher comes out and he hasn't achieved any of those milestones, you lose your DH. So at least the team is incentivized to teach their pitchers to go through the lineup 3 times, whereas right now nobody's incentivized to do that. No teams are incentivized to tell their pitcher, okay, let's go through the lineup 3 times. Let's navigate a lineup. Those aren't conversations that are had anymore. Nobody's fault. It's just the nature of the game where it's at right now. But if that mind shift switches and teams start incentivizing, okay, how do we get guys out 3 times? Because right now, 3rd time through the lineup, they're looking for an excuse to take you out. Because analytically, it says that batters have more success 3rd time through.
So all good points.
Yeah.
In an interesting thought on how to sort of combat it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have brought up the idea of just, I know that the natural tendency is to say add more pitchers because they're all getting hurt.
Yeah.
They're saying, a lot of people are saying go the other way.
At less and
Fewer.
force them.
Yep. If you have fewer pitchers, the starters have to go deeper into games.
Yeah.
And if you do that, they can pace better. And like he was saying, you incentivize them to pitch longer. Somebody asked earlier on the Vancouver Ford text line, they said, did Nolan Ryan ever have this surgery? And he threw gas.
He didn't throw this.
Well, he threw 100. I mean, he'd never had Tommy John surgery. But what's interesting about what Nolan Ryan, of course, everybody talks to Nolan Ryan about this. He's still out there. He says he thinks pitchers should throw more.
Well, and this was the Braves did this a number of years ago. Who's their? I'm trying to remember the name of their pitching coach. God, I forget what his name is, but he was kind of one of those revolutionary guys that believed in your off days throwing more. And I read a report or an article that a doctor, there's like Dr. Jesse Moore, this guy I follow on Twitter. He's like an injury guy, pretty smart. He's a nice follow. And he gave a whole detailed thing. And I'm not a doctor, but his whole thing was your body will adapt to load management over an extended period of time. And he pointed out that there is a theory out there that guys weren't specialized before, that they learned their body became taxed over a long period of time, slowly, and were allowed to adapt, as opposed to now where you're just, again, it's the idea of mashing the gas. You learn to throw harder, longer, and give your body time to adapt to it.
Well, Japanese pitchers are pretty good at this.
Yeah.
And I know Shohei's hurt, but, we've talked before about Japanese pitchers will sometimes throw 300 pitches in a week.
Yeah.
And everybody's looking at that going, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, how are they not getting hurt? Well, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not getting hurt nearly at the same rate to go to, to... Speaking of your theory there from that doctor.
Yeah.
So surely, I mean, look, there's a lot of people that study, kinesiology, right? There's a lot of people looking into this. You have to think that someone somewhere, and they probably already have this, it's just they can't convince pitchers with millions of dollars on the line to do this, but they're going to figure out better ways to throw that protect the elbow.
Yeah.
Like we already have a PT guy on our text line who says, I'll just read you this text. He said, I'm a rehab director and have worked with physical therapists who work with high-level pitchers. That ball stuff Glassnow was talking about makes perfect sense. Anytime you compensate, you get injured.
Mm-hmm.
However, I believe with correct muscle balance and correct technique, you can throw 100 and avoid major injury. Otani has a bad technique that caused 2 UCL tears. He had surgery but did not change technique, hence UCL tear number 2. Only a matter of time before number 3.
Well, but it's also a case of you're asking, like when Tiger Woods has to rebuild his golf swing, it's really hard to ask someone who is truly one of the elite players in the world to then change how they throw. That is not as something as simple as...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people that can teach pitchers a lot of stuff on this to avoid injury, but at what cost? Is it at the cost of them not even being in the big leagues?
Well,
and then they're not going to do it.
Well, and that's what Verlander said, right? Like,
exactly. They're just not going to... You're not going to convince them.
If I know I can throw 100 or throw 99, Jacob deGrom... he can throw 99 every fastball. How are you going to convince him that throwing 93 is better for himself or 94? Because you're right. The first time he gets touched up, you're going to sit there and be like, I've got more in the tank. It's really hard to get someone to put a restrictor plate on their car.
No,
it's
true. And the other thing is not all of them get hurt.
No.
So why don't they study the guys who are not getting hurt?
Well, and this may be a case of, like you brought up with Nolan Ryan, right? There are some people that are just built differently. We talked about this a while back, but there's a new medicine is light years ahead of where we were 10 years ago, 20 years, 30 years ago. Remember we talked about that bone mass muscle density thing that the NFL is looking into? Mm-hmm. There is a bunch of NFL teams right now, when they go to draft a player, their big thing is they do a bone scan. And there is a belief now that there is a percentage based on the size of your bones, how much mass you can carry. And there's like this line of demarcation that the moment you get above that line, One, it stops being productive. You're not any more explosive. You're not any faster. You're not any stronger. And you become super injury prone. Like your body literally can't carry anymore. And they're going through and finding things like this and being like, nope, you're not meant to do it. And this kind of hits home for me. Like my DB coach was in BYU was named Brian Mitchell. He was the opposite corner of Deion Sanders in Atlanta. Played in the NFL for a bunch of years. Really good dude. And he used to call me spare parts. He'd be like, Sakanic, you're just spare parts Sakanic. And he's like, whatever God had left, he put into you. He'd be like, you're a hell of a player, but he goes, dude, your body sucks. And he would just laugh. And there's an element of truth to that. Like I was not meant to play football. I have a body that breaks. And I knew other guys that I played with that were just machines. They were built like tanks, big wrists, big, thick, meaty bones, and they never got hurt. There are some dudes that are just built different. And maybe Nolan Ryan is one of those guys that bone mass structure, the way the length of his forearm, Pedro Martinez was able to throw as hard as he was because he had super ass long fingers. Pedro threw really hard, and he said it was because of how long his fingers were. There are just guys that mechanically are built different, and so sometimes it's hard to look at a guy like Nolan Ryan or someone that doesn't get hurt. It may be that he is just a genetic freak.
Well, of course, but that's not all of them.
No.
I mean, sure, there are going to be those, but that's why you would have this study has to be very comprehensive. MLB is looking into this, and it is a very comprehensive study. We said 36% of pitchers have had Tommy John surgery.
Yep.
Well, that means 64% have not. And so if they're pitching at a high level, what are they doing? And some of them you will throw out of the study because you're like, wow, his elbow is, I've never seen it, however they study it. It's like, dude, that guy's just a freak.
Yeah.
And then others, they don't compensate. They don't pitch tired. They focus on proper mechanics, and that helps them stay healthy.
Yeah.
So, it's a complicated thing. I think they should have a season where every pitcher has to learn knuckleball, and they throw knuckleballs for an entire season.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I love it.
What do you think baseball would look like?
Would not be pretty.
Better or worse?
Well, you like home runs? And Verlander brought up an interesting point too that no one's talking about is that analytics now and the way guys are swinging the bat and I don't know if he was taking a shot at the whole steroid thing, but it used to be you'd have two guys in the lineup that could hit the ball out of the park. You got 8 of them now. And I think that was one of the things that, that Verlander was talking about was like, what do you want us to do? Like every guy now is up there just swinging for the fences. And I can't just put the ball in place. So if someone's like, well, it's Greg Maddux and guys like this. Yes, there's still a place for them. But in today's game, it's dangerous to be a guy that puts the ball in play because every guy that puts the ball in play is swinging from his shoes and is looking to put one out of the park. And so the game has changed because of the analytic nature of it, that offense is almost dictating that baseball pitchers now, like you said, it's a strikeout or bust. We can't have the ball put in play. Guys hit it too hard.
When you promote offense, that's hard on pitchers, so they're going to do everything they can to adjust to that, right? And this is part of what's come of that.
Yeah,
is they're just throwing harder. They have to throw harder. They have to get more swings and misses. They have to do that now with a pitch clock.
Yeah,
which so means faster than ever.
Yeah, you're throwing at maximum velocity with less rest.
And all of those rules changes are good for the game in terms of offense.
It ain't good for arms
and speed of the game, but is not good for arms. Yeah. And so they have to.
How would you convince a 12-year-old to go be Greg Maddux and not,
I think the only way you do that is you have a guy who somehow, some way comes along and captivates us on the highest level. Who does it?
Yeah.
Greg Maddux did it.
Yeah.
And
Glavine,
so
there were a bunch of those guys.
There's a lot of guys like that.
Yeah.
But Greg Maddux was special.
Yeah.
And so if you had Greg Maddux come along in today's game and he had that kind of success, you would get copycats. You'd be like, oh, it can be done.
Yeah.
Oh, here's how you do it. Because anytime anybody has success on the highest level in sports,
someone will look at it.
Everyone will copy it.
Yep.
And so you just wonder if that's coming. If somewhere someone will be good enough to change this paradigm.
A Steph Curry.
Because you can pitch. It's baseball. It's still the same game. It's like you have to paint corners. Greg Maddux, all he did was paint corners.
Change speeds.
And change speeds. And you can do it that way.
Yeah.
It's just no one tries it anymore.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's what Verlander's talking about. Is it's scarier because now when people touch you, what used to be an opposite field fly ball is now.
And I get it.
Yeah, you could see
get
old Ellie De La Cruz over there hit an opposite field one arm home run. Vlad Guerrero Jr. can hit a opposite field home run with one arm. I mean, that's.
You can totally see why.
Yeah. It's
You can
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
You can absolutely see why pitchers are just like, look, I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
You know, you can see.
And hope I'm one of the 60%.
Exactly. And hope I don't go down.
And it used to be you blew out your elbow, your career was done. Now guys are like, yeah, man, I'm all right.
I'll be out for a season.
I'll be out for a season and I'll be back.
All right. It is 4:21. When we return to the radio program, you are going to hear. Well, I have this LeBron audio. You guys want to hear this LeBron audio?
Yeah, give me some LeBron.
LeBron and JJ Redick. Do you want to hear that?
Yeah.
We've had this for a while.
Holstered. Let's go.
This is in regards to that X's and O's podcast those two are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of interesting. And it involves Chip Kelly.
Can you guys shut up?
How about that, Jace?
Is
you ready for that? JC
the best
Babes?
part of basketball?
Hey, will you shut up?
The best part of football is football. And so you got to do football.
Do you have to do basketball?
R.A. Dickey.
I had no idea.
Rest in peace.
Oh, God, yeah, the great
R.A.
R.A. Dickey.
Well, there's a lot of them. R.A. Dickey, Jamie Moyer.
Tom Candiotti.
Candiotti was great.
Negro. And
certainly the late, Tim Wakefield.
Yeah. I forgot about Tim Wakefield. I think of who else was out there. Any modern day knuckleballers?
Well, Charlie Huff.
Yeah, but again, that was
a long time
ago.
Modern day. Is there a knuckleballer?
R.A. Dickey's the last one I can think of.
Dickey and Wakefield were the last two that I remember.
That's crazy. It's not time for Sports Center. It's 4:23 on the Fan.
Yeah.
Well, but sometimes in sports, well, let's put it this way: there are a lot of people who are great at sports who are dummies. Like
Sure.
they're just really, really good at it, and they don't think much about it.
But it's hard to get to that point.
But LeBron is as cerebral as they come. I mean, although I can think of a few dummies that were not as skilled as LeBron, but you know what I mean, like as skilled as anyone out there, and just dumber than a sack of hammers.
Yep.
LeBron is the whole package when it comes to the X's and O's. Although in the NBA, it's not. Look, it's not like the NFL. The NFL is. It is as intricate as you want to get.
Mm-hmm.
You can go really deep into the X's and O's, and it is. It's like there are a lot of levels to it. Let's just put it that way.
Sure.
That these coaches and players go through. Okay, NBA. Come on. I mean, what did they say? They used to show a famous Trailblazers coach. They used to give him game film for upcoming teams. Okay, to scout X's and O's. Right, JC Babes. Okay, so they give him this film, and they're like, wait a minute. They're doing all this work on this film, and they're noticing he's not watching this film.
Yeah.
So then they started giving it to him in sealed packages so that they could really, they were like, we're going to put it on his desk, but we're going to seal it. So that way we know if he's not watching it. And they ended up in a stack on his desk, sealed.
And this is the one thing that there is a difference.
There are not a lot of plays
that can exist in the NFL.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But come on, from the coach's perspective, like I'm saying players, it's both sports are kind of read and react, right? It's like a feel but there is such thing as IQ, basketball IQ and football IQ. And I just think football is way deeper than basketball. Like basketball, there's X's and O's and strategy to everything, obviously. But basketball, a lot of times, there's only so much a coach can do, depending on who's on the floor, right? And they don't run. I mean, it was Damon Stoudemire who famously said, well, we only have like one or two plays. So it's like, okay.
It's not an Andy Reid offense.
But when you listen to LeBron and JJ Redick talk, you may think differently.
Yeah.
Now this, we talked about this because we were talking about podcasts and how everyone has a podcast, and you really have to be very specific with your topic choices on podcasts, or else, I don't know.
I looked it up. There are apparently 3.2 million podcasts. So yeah, you better be specific to your audience.
Well, some people just say, "Hey, I've got LeBron James on my podcast, so you should listen to it." Right. No, what is LeBron James talking about?
And this was JJ Redick's point: is he claimed, and rightfully so, that when you listen to NFL people, there are the Dan Orlovskis and Mina Kimes. There are so many people that go in depth, and he goes, no one cares about that in the NBA. All we care about is a bunch of horse crap drama of who should get traded and who's this and who's that.
The low flat hanging clickbait stuff as opposed to the high level stuff.
And so Redick was like, I would like to see if anyone is interested in us getting X's and O's, and to get attention, he went and got the best possible guy he could, which is LeBron James.
Yeah, you don't really hear it.
No.
Broken down this way.
The NBA stuff, the coverage of it is embarrassing, how salacious it is.
Well, it's like, but think about, I don't think Charles Barkley and Kenny and Shaq and those guys are embarrassing. I just think it's just interesting how those guys know so much about basketball, and yet when you watch them, you aren't getting any X's and O's
very little
analysis. I mean, there's some.
It's not.
But it's surface level stuff, man. Like they do not go deep. No. Kenny sometimes with his when he's drawing stuff up, but
and then Shaq's just like, I'd win championships. He's like, I'm
just
best.
shove him out of the way, like
shove him out of the way and dunk.
It's funny because they have two shows on the same network that are almost polar opposites. Because like the other Inside the NBA, when it's like Candace Parker and Jamal Crawford and there's somebody else on there, they're all basketball, and then you get Kenny, Shaq, and Chuck out there, and it's the opposite.
So here, this is two-parter. LeBron. So we went in, took a listen to the LeBron Redick thing, and it's actually really interesting because it's very specific. Now, this first part involves Oregon, the University of Oregon, your Ducks.
My Duckies.
And Chip Kelly.
I'm going to tell you when it all changed. Obviously, my first year there,
I'm going to start this over. This is him talking about his time in Miami, not L.A. This is in Miami.
I'm going to tell you when it all changed. Obviously, my first year there, played great basketball, got all the way to the finals, losing the finals. Spo is the reason why we were a better team and our team was more assembled properly. That summer, he went to Oregon and hung out with Chip Kelly.
Oh, interesting.
He when we lost to Dallas, he went to Oregon and hung out with Chip Kelly and learned the spread offense and tried to figure out if he could translate that to basketball. And don't know the super conversations that him and Chip had, but I know when he came back to us, he knew in order for us to reach our potential, one, I had to be 10 times better than I was in that previous June finals. But Chris Bosh had to go to the 5. He had to start working on his corner 3 faithfully every day after practice. Corner 3 every day after practice. We're going to post you up. We're going to get you your elbow catches. The offense is going to run through you at times. But in order to bring, the Tyson Chandlers out of the paint, in order to bring the Roy Hibberts out of the paint, in order to bring Kevin Garnett out of the paint, you got to at least be a threat.
Okay, so Spo comes to Oregon, talks to Chucky, figures it all out, and here is part 2 of them breaking that down.
The Bosch spacing, what did that sort of unlock? I'm curious. Like, what were the actions?
The cutting.
Slot cut?
The slot cuts. The slot cuts. The slot cuts. It unlocked the slot cuts. It unlocked exactly what myself and D-Wade thrive on. Dribble penetration, slot cutting. Pick and roll happens, you tag, slot cutting. Yeah. It unlocked all that. And we all know how great D-Wade is on the baseline. It's hard to cut behind the defense when X5 is standing there the whole time because, the offensive 5 is there. So, you hit me on the pocket pass now, I get the pocket pass from Chalmers or from Norris Cole, and now Bosch is in a strong corner. Are you going to leave him or not? If you do, he's going to tag you. And if not, when I roll, now you got X3 or X2 tagging on me on the roll. And 9 times out of 10, that guy that's playing the elbow that's supposed to X to the corner, he's Xing out to the 3-point line and D-Wade slashing right behind him. It unlocked so much for our offense. And it gave myself and D-Wade in transition, we had this thing called the Mack truck lane. So basically from the block to the block. So say, for instance, we stand on the free throw line.
Yeah.
You got one block on one side, one block on that side.
I can picture a basketball court, yeah.
We're doing it for the viewers. I'm not questioning JJ's expertise.
No, I know what you're saying.
First day of training camp, we had that whole thing taped off. The bigs were not allowed to run in between the Mack truck lane. From the first day of training camp all the way to game 1. Prohibited. You're not allowed to, and if I'm bringing the ball up and the big is behind me, he can't cross the court. He has to run wide behind. This is all, Spo is like, he's that damn good.
So it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
To hear him break all that
Break it
down. At the same time, it's not really a complex concept. You know what I'm saying? Like the NBA is infuriating because it really isn't a lot of traditional basketball. It's a
Great
lot
athletes.
of it's great athletes,
Pick and roll.
a lot of standing around, a lot of pick and roll. It's a lot it's spacing and one-on-one.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of quick decisions. Right now, there's so much movement and picks and screens that you're trying to make the defense make the wrong decision so you can get a guy open.
Yeah, and I get why it's evolved into that, but give me Dan Hurley and UConn all day long. And I know that makes me sound 1,000 years old.
It does.
But basketball, when you play it like in the Warriors, okay, so the Warriors are an example of this. Mm-hmm. It's not just about UConn or college ball that has a little bit more, would be the word, like, offensive flow to it, maybe movement. Mm-hmm. The Warriors perfected this and won multiple titles with it.
When they were moving the ball with their death lineup, it was beautiful. It was really, really fun to watch.
And yet no one really, and the Spurs used to do it too.
Yeah.
When they were winning titles. And yet so many teams are averse to it. It's just the weirdest thing in that league.
It might be hard to get people sometimes to buy into that stuff. It also helps to have, a roster made up of guys willing to do it.
And that's the key.
That's the weird part about the NBA is, again, going back to Doug Gottlieb, the best thing Doug Gottlieb ever said was
Oh, here you go again.
Yep, he said the hardest part about the coaching gigs in the NBA is you can't get guys to listen to you until you win an NBA title, and you can't win an NBA title unless guys are listening to you, because guys tune out and they go back to one-on-one or pick and roll and do whatever the hell they want. It's hard to get guys to buy into a system. Like, you imagine when Dan Hurley comes into the NBA and tries to get a bunch of millionaires to follow his I'm going to be selfless and just run around in circles and play that style. That, and two, it's hard to exert that level on both ends of the floor because you get cooked by the Kyrie Irvings of the world.
Yeah, if the NBA were somehow about, if the players would just listen to coaches and let it be about X's and O's and coaching, it would be so fun to watch those guys, the best players in the world play that way.
Because the skill level's never been. It's off the charts.
It's still a watchable product because the guys they're freaks.
Yeah.
But guys coast in the NBA. They coast because the season is way too long. They ride these thoroughbreds way too hard, and then they have guaranteed money. They know that nothing's going to happen to them, and so coaches are kind of at the mercy of the players' whims on a nightly basis, and it's just a bad model.
Someone asked Alex Caruso. I saw a clip of it. I don't remember what podcast it was. There's one of the millions of podcasts. But someone asked Alex Caruso. He said, "How many NBA players could you take and put on a 15 or 16 seed like Oakland and win the NCAA tournament?" He's like, "I don't know, maybe 30, 35." He goes,
"What?"
Yeah. And he was dead serious. He goes, "It's way more than you think." He goes, "There are."
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. He goes, "Dude,
they're that good."
He goes, "Everyone talks about college basketball and like defense and all that." He's just laughed. He goes, "Dude, there are so many players in the NBA that in a college game they would score 70 points and they would foul out." He was talking about Giannis. He goes, I think someone brought up UConn, and he goes, "Every UConn player would be fouled out by half."
Yeah.
He goes, "Are you kidding me?"
For sure.
I
would say more than, like, if you asked me that question, I would have said top 75.
There are so many guys that would just
maybe top 50.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the freaks are.
But
there's nothing like.
One last point. Dan Hurley, I don't know if he ever has any NBA aspirations, and he would probably go to the NBA and flame out like other good college coaches have gone to the NBA and flamed out.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of John Beeline or whatever. But the way Dan Hurley coaches his team, I would freaking love to see him get a group of NBA players with that kind of talent and have them play that way.
Be fun.
Dude, that would be so fun to watch.
Yep.
And they'd probably be dynamite if the players would buy in, but we're back to that of will they? In the News is up next. Now to Buck with SportsCenter. Well, I told you I was bringing the sports today. We were coming hard, and we have, because In the News is suffering.
I'm uncomfortable with
I'm coming hard.
sports.
I came hard.
You did.
I came hard today.
And you know
I've
what?
come hard on a Friday.
I'm coming hard.
I'm fine with you coming hard
This
on
is
a
the new
Friday.
Isache.
But coming hard on a Wednesday?
Yeah.
You got to tell
Well,
me when
I
you're going
did.
to come hard.
I told you right in the opening segment. I said, you better buckle up, bitch.
I need pre warning. You can't just say I'm coming hard and then have me deal with it.
As you well know, the show is a day-to-day thing. It's like some days you come in here, it's like,
It's sunny out, you're playing golf. I thought we were going to get a laid-back, relaxed environment.
Wait, break? What do you mean break? Get out of here with that.
Look at the clock.
That's why I told you. I said I was sportsing too hard today, so I'm sorry for In the News getting shorted. But it is April 10, 2024. It is time for In the News. I'm your noted newsman. Hello, thank you, America. Thank you.
Hearing from them, from the boss.
It is Golfer's Day.
Oh, there you go.
So shout out to
I did not golf today.
Wamser.
Buttery 69.
Beautiful little 69.
Yeah.
He's out there again today, playing again. He's got a great life. I want to sell medical equipment.
And wear your scrubs and tell people that you're a doctor.
It is also National Hug Your Dog Day. Did you hug your dog today?
Every damn morning.
Boy, this is a terrible way to go.
The best part about having a big dog is I call it floofing them. I like just tackling him. It's great. He just kind of does the surrender. He just rolls over and you just grab him. It's fantastic.
So, Portland Fire and Rescue says a person was crushed by a 1,200-pound stump.
Oh, I don't like that.
Wednesday morning in northeast Portland.
I don't. How?
Well,
how did a stump? Was there like
a
Wile E. Coyote involved?
The equipment they were using to remove the stump malfunctioned, resulting in a catastrophic accident.
Although, I'm going to make a...
No.
No, I'm just saying.
No.
If you are going to get crushed by something,
no.
At least that's probably
No.
quick, right?
No.
No, I don't think so.
Strong.
Well,
A
maybe.
1,200-pound stump? If it fell on you from any sort of height, I think
Yeah.
at least there's some...
I'd still rather be shot.
Well, of course. Well, I've said getting shot of all the ways to go, dude, it's sneaky underrated if you're gonna die. But I'm just saying, if you're good, I'd rather get crushed by a 1,200-pound stump than
Get hit by a truck? Same idea.
Same idea. It's tough. How fast is the truck going?
Well, I would just like it to
Yeah,
happen to
yeah.
me when I don't see it coming.
Like Meet Joe Black style, right?
Yeah,
You just step out
exactly.
and...
Oop. Yeah.
Exactly. Then you wake up Beetlejuice style and you're like, what happened? You're like, it's over. Or you don't, whatever you believe is out there. I don't know.
So no more details on that. It's just a nasty accident.
That is awful. That's a big stump, by the way.
Hey, In-N-Out Burger is coming.
Yeah, saw this. First
you see
time
this?
ever.
Yeah.
I won't be going, but all right.
Richfield.
Yeah.
In-N-Out.
Yeah. Oh, by the casino.
Well, this very broadcast had reported that previously.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
We had. Yeah, you did.
Oh.
Pretty sure you did.
Did I?
We talked about it.
We have? Oh, okay.
That's how I knew it was going up by
Ridgefield is getting an In-N-Out.
the casino. Yeah. Right.
And it will open by 2025.
Allow me to give it 2 thumbs.
Meh. Yeah, In-N-Out's overrated. We all know that.
Yeah.
That's not even a hot take anymore. It used to be a hot take. It's not anymore.
And yet people are going to be lined up around the corner.
The word is out.
You know what?
I like an In-N-Out Burger quite a bit.
I will choose to not stand in line and go to Five Guys instead.
Five Guys just as good. I'll say that.
Right
as well.
down the road in Salmon Creek there, and there'll be no line, and I can order on the app. And thanks for coming.
Better fries too.
Bingo.
All right, up next we have floating body news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up,
You're like, yeah.
Well, I saw that today. I was like, that was the first headline I saw. I was like, whoa.
You love this topic. This is a great one. You love it when they find bodies in the Willamette.
I just feel there's more happening down there than we realize. The waterways.
450 on the Fan.
This is the Fan's Window into Sports, a view into today's top stories. Brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
Suarez reaches out, going to be a long run for Nolan Jones on the move. He won't get there. Marte is home. They will wave Walker. Here comes Christian. He will score. And Gino Suarez with a 2-run double, and it's 5-3 Diamondbacks. He found no man's land out there.
What's the most random game you could pick to have a highlight from?
Yeah, what's that about?
It's a former Mariner. We got a game winner. We don't usually have games that are finished by this point in the day, so audio available.
Diamondbacks down the mighty Rockies,
There you
5-3.
go.
Go D-backs?
In Who Cares news,
Yeah, I guess.
Window into the NL West.
the fans. The fans' window into sports brought to you by. All right, one more story for you tonight here on In the Nuez from your noted Nuez man.
What?
That's how cool people say news.
The cool kids.
We had a floating body.
Yeah.
In the Willamette.
Which I think we always have a floating body in the Willamette. I just think they're underreported. I'm convinced that at any given time we got like half a dozen bodies bouncing around in there.
Well, they wouldn't be underreported. We just don't know about them.
Exactly.
You're saying they're in there. We just don't know about them because they don't like when there's. It's a big deal when they find a body in the river.
Yes.
Because it's just jarring.
I know.
Right.
Yeah. Anytime you're out.
Because we're all looking at the river constantly, and it's like I never see a body in there.
Well, we rent a boat a couple times a year and cruise around out there, and you better believe while I'm piloting the boat, the first thing I'm doing, I'm looking
Checking
for
for
logs
bodies.
and I'm looking for bodies.
Right on the sides there.
Absolutely. I see something out in the water. My first thought is, hey, that a body? I'm not going to say I want to find a body, but if I did, I'd be interested.
Yeah.
I'd poke at it.
It is true. You see driftwood and you're like, ooh, what's that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Lame.
A body found floating in the mighty Willamette Tuesday night, right along the East Bank Esplanade. According to the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, just after 7:30 p.m., a passerby reported seeing the body floating just south of the Burnside Bridge. That's got to be pretty alarming, right? You're running over there and you look
You're
in.
like, oh, wait.
Ah!
Yeah. You're out there and you're wondering, is that guy swimming or
What a body.
what's happening? Do we have an identification or
No.
we just have a body?
Portland Fire and boats from the sheriff's office responded to the scene and said that around 8:15 they pulled the body from the river, taking it to Cathedral Park to meet the medical examiner. Which that's kind of a weird line. Like, why do you have to? Like, he can't come there.
No.
You have to take him to
his protocol.
Yeah, his office.
Yeah. You gotta
He's like, I don't know. The game's pretty good. Can you bring it over here?
You have tools and whatnot. You can't
Probably
ask
want to
him-
do it in a controlled environment, I would guess.
Yeah. You can't have the looky-loos. I'll tell you right now that if I'm cruising around on the old pedal on the Esplanade,
Oh, you're watching.
and I
that.
see a body, I'm watching the S out
Don't
of
they
that.
put up the big? I think they put up the.
Oh, that's fine.
The
I'm going
concussion
up,
tent?
Going up to the bridge.
The concussion tent.
Don't we all like when you're going on the beach and you see like a dead seal or whatever? You have to stop. You have to look at death. You have to. There's no choice. You don't just turn away. You look. You look.
The death is still under investigation, and information is limited at this time. Rest in peace.
I always look for bodies, water and parking garages.
Parking garage.
Yeah, I've watched one too many.
Like in cars?
Yeah, one too many Law and Orders, you know? Like last night we went to the Beetlejuice show at the Keller, and I had to park at the very top of the parking garage. So then I'm up there, and it's just, it's kind of, it's filtered out. There weren't many cars. It's kind of eerie up there. You better believe as I'm walking around, I'm like, this is the sort of thing. If that was Law and Order, there would have been a body at the top of that parking garage. Yeah, I'll just I peruse a little bit. I find parking garages to be it's the waterways of dry land. Stuff happens in parking garages,
All right.
It's where deals go wrong.
That is in the news for April 10, 2024. The Hot 5 at 5 is chock full of sports news today. What can I tease for you? Well, we have athlete police blotter, and it pertains to the University of Washington.
Not good.
Some of it. And then perhaps an NHL team moving to...
Dun, dun, dun.
Next on The Fan.
It's time for High Stakes, a tasty look at clutch performances and the biggest games. Served up by Steakadelphia.
That could do it. Look at this drive. Carey, goodbye! Into the bullpen. Another Cal Raleigh home run here in Toronto. A 2-run shot, and the Mariners have a 3-1 lead.
Is that the big dumper right there?
That's right.
Going yard in the 10th inning. And to go up, and they would actually cruise there to a 6-1 win over your Toronto Blue Jays. The Red Hot Mariners, 5-8 on the season.
Yeah, so what's at stake? Not getting swept. High Stakes brought to you by Steakadelphia, featuring authentic and crazy good cheesesteaks full of cheesy goodness. Visit Steakadelphia on Southeast 59th and Powell, or at their new location on Southwest 103rd and Canyon Road in Beaverton.
Hi, it's Isaac Ropp. Another rough golfing winter is mostly in the books, guys. And if you play year-round like me, now you've surely been out to Langdon
Welcome back. Hope you're having a nice, juicy, buttery, beautiful little Wednesday. It's Rop and Sook. My name is Isachi. And that's Big Sook right over there.
Right here.
Ryan Buckley's here today.
We think.
No. He's
No,
right
he
there.
is.
I see him through the glass.
Isachi. Coming up tonight in the club, we have a primetime follow-up on the Delta Eclipse flights.
Oh, yeah.
Did you read about how those went?
No, I'm guessing they didn't go well.
Why?
I don't know. The fact that we're having a follow-up on this, I'm guessing that it's not going to be like, hey, rave reviews for the $900 flight.
Bunch of people hurt their eyes, and now they're going to blame the airline.
Ooh, lawsuits.
It's possible.
Yeah. See where we're going with that.
Or perhaps a door plug fell off of the plane.
Or maybe when didn't you say they were going to try to bank it into the eclipse so that everyone could see it? Maybe people just fell out of their seats because they banked it too hard.
Into the sun? Yeah, you bank in, and then everyone on the other side of the plane
goes tumbling into the rows below them. Yeah.
There's no way something like that goes off smoothly. Anytime someone comes up with some sort of special thing, it's always a dumpster fire.
All right, coming up next, we'll talk about this rape case at UW. We also have our Masters picks this hour and some other cool stuff. But right now, the Hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions,
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
and hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victorico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victoricos.com. Number 5.
Well, rain could delay the opening round of the Masters. If it does, it would mark the 49th out of 88 Masters where they have had some sort of rain.
So you're going you'll be down there, but you're only going on Sunday, right?
Yes.
So if it gets bumped back, does your Sunday badge just then become like a Monday badge?
Okay, Buckley asked me the same question. The answer to the question to me is yes, and that's because they are
Badges, not tickets.
Badges, not tickets.
Yeah.
There's a difference. When we talk about the Masters, we'll lay all this out, but it is kind of interesting. If you have a ticket to the Masters and you're going tomorrow, if they don't play golf tomorrow,
You're not going.
you are not going.
Boy.
Yeah, they have no rain checks.
Isn't that a kick in the groin?
Ricky Fowler won the par 3 contest today.
We had a couple of dunkers, right?
We had 5.
Yeah.
5 aces out there. Lucas Glover, Luke List, Sepp Straka, Victor Hovland, and Gary Woodland all had holes in one.
And Woodland was 6 months removed from brain surgery, right?
Yeah. Rock chalk. And by the way, since the par 3 contest started,
Number 4.
which was 1960, the par 3 contest winner has never won the Masters.
I wasn't betting on Ricky anyways.
Well, that's kind of, and don't a bunch of guys intentionally get disqualified by letting a family member take a stroke or something
Yes.
like that so that they can't win even if they have a good score?
That's exactly what they do.
Superstition's a hell of a thing.
The NFL will play its first ever game in South America, Week 1.
Brazil.
Sao Paulo, Brazil, to be exact. It will be the Eagles and the Packers on Friday night, September 6th.
I can get down with that.
So that's the night after the traditional season opener, which is on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
And one bit of contract news, the Jacksonville Jaguars have signed pass rusher Josh Allen to a 5-year, $150 million deal.
Josh Allen's going to quarterback the Bills for a butt ton of cash and be an edge rusher. Wow.
$88 million guaranteed.
Yeah, good for him.
He did have the franchise tag, but he's coming off a season where he recorded 17.5 sacks.
He's sneaky one of the... I mean, this happens a lot with edge rushers, but there's a lot of quality ones out there that a lot of people just don't think about. We don't talk about him. I remember coming out of Kentucky, he's a hell of a player.
John Calipari signs with Arkansas. It is a 5-year deal. He will get $7 million a year, so he takes a $1.5 million year pay cut.
Yes, and gave up $32 million to leave Kentucky.
As for the latest on Kentucky's coaching search, the target appears to be Baylor's Scott Drew. Apparently, he is close with the AD there, Mitch Barnhart. So they're saying it's Scott Drew's to turn down.
Yeah, and there's a lot of chatter that they're not letting Scott Drew turn that down, that they are going to throw an obscene amount of money. By the way, do you believe that Calipari's only making that at Arkansas? You got to believe there's some back cheese on
there
that,
was
right?
a bunch of incentives and stuff.
They give him a steak and Tyson chicken?
Get that alcoholic chicken going?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, at USC, guard Isaiah Collier has announced his intent to enter the NBA draft, so he is considered lottery caliber player.
Number two.
Athlete police blotter, former Ravens star Terrell Suggs charged with threatening and intimidating and disorderly conduct with a weapon. He had a dispute at a Starbucks drive-thru that led him to stick a gun out the window at another car, not the poor little barista. Here locally, former Blazer Ben McLemore has been booked into Clackamas County Jail for first-degree rape.
Yep.
He is currently under contract with the team in Spain. Who knew he was still living here?
Didn't know. I think he posted. I think I saw that he posted bond and is out now. But that's no bueno. On either case, by the way.
Also, UW football player Tybo Rogers has been arrested and charged with raping 2 women.
Yeah, by the way, within like a couple days of each other, both at the end of October, and there's some details on it that are out there. One of the Husky bloggers has details on this from the court documents, and it's graphic. It's bad. And so he was suspended and then reinstated by Kalen DeBoer, and then when Fish found out about it, he immediately suspended him again, and he's not part of the team right now until obviously this gets resolved. But
number one.
I mean, he did play in the college football playoff after being suspended because of this. So
his bail has been set at $150,000 for each case. And number one, the NHL is preparing a contingency plan that could relocate the Arizona Coyotes to Utah.
Yeah, Salt Lake City.
By October of this year.
Well, we don't need to get into the whole nitty-gritty of it because I know it's hockey, but you think like the A's and the Rays have bad stadium situations? Look into the Arizona Phoenix Coyotes. They've gone back and forth. That is the biggest dumpster fire in arena history. Yeah. At one point, they got locked out of their arena for failure to pay, literally kicked out. They are now playing in a 4,000-seat arena that is designed for the Arizona State club hockey team. And by the way, they don't fill it up. It is the saddest situation in all of sports.
So this plan from the NHL would include the sale of the team to Jazz owners Ryan and Ashley Smith. Yeah. They are currently preparing 2 different schedules, so that's something we'll put in the notes to talk about tomorrow. Day game for the Mariners. I wanted to tell you that they did win. They avoided the sweep in Toronto. They scored 5 in the 10th and beat the Jays 6-1. Dodgers lost to the Twins 3-2. Jackson Holliday, who is the number 1 prospect in all of baseball, just made his major league debut for the Baltimore Orioles, and he struck out.
He also boofed a pop-up that led to the Red Sox first run.
Sucks.
He looks like a roided-up, younger Adley Rutschman. Have you seen him?
He's a good-looking kid.
The Orioles have a type. Have you seen all the kids they've brought up? They all have the same haircut and the same face.
Gunner and all those guys.
Yeah.
It's very bro.
I think their GM likes twinks.
They all look like they had wakeboard or something.
There you go. A lot of ab work done in the Orioles clubhouse.
One other note, no Achilles injury for Giannis Antetokounmpo. He hurt his calf, and they are saying they will get an MRI on that.
Yeah, and they're saying it's going to be a couple weeks at least. And remember, Kevin Durant hurt his calf too and then blew out his Achilles. The other one too, I don't know if you saw this, but Damian Martinez is claiming that the Beaver Collective lied to him, and that's one of the reasons why he left. And now the Beaver Collective is saying that he's a liar. So now we have a peeing contest of Damian Martinez and the Damn Collective, Damnation, accusing each other of being liars.
Let me follow up. I have questions about this.
Yeah,
we'll follow up on that next.
Because that's not a good look either way. I mean, I don't know who's telling the truth, but it's not pretty.
Victorico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Order now at victoricos.com. We'll follow up on what Damian Martinez is alleging and this rape case at UW coming up next on The Fan.
again, if you believe the accusers, it was real bad predatory stuff.
One was at a Halloween party.
Yeah.
At any rate, we have the audio of Jed Fish, new Husky coach, being asked about this. Now, this kid, one of the rape accusations led him to being pulled from the team.
Yes.
Because this all happened in the fall.
Yeah, he was pulled from the Pac-12 title game, and when asked about it, the athletic director at the time said he was dealing with some off-field stuff. Well, duh. There is some of the documents. Again, anytime you're getting into this Title IX stuff, because one of them was reported to Title IX, that if you believe the confidentiality aspect of this, the team doesn't necessarily know what he's being accused of, but they still suspect.
Really?
Yes.
You buy that?
I find it hard to believe that at least someone isn't giving the coaches a heads up, like, hey, this is really bad. But
why didn't Art Briles use that?
Well, Art didn't care. But in the communication back and forth, they talk about him being suspended, but they don't talk exactly, at least from what we know, why he was being suspended. Also, it says in the UW handbook that this really isn't a coach's decision. This is something that, again, is made from higher up on the university level. So I don't know who you want to blame here, but he was suspended. He was brought back for the playoffs and the national title game by DeBoer and supposedly the upper level people at UW. And then when Jed Fish found out about it, when he took the job, found out what he was accused of, he suspended him again, and he currently is suspended from all team activities.
Okay, so Jed Fish, the new coach,
yes,
who had nothing to do with this,
no,
by the way, was asked about this.
I don't know much about it other than the fact that the ICA has suspended him indefinitely. And I don't expect him to be out here on the field.
Under your leadership, how are you going to ensure that serious allegations against your players are taken seriously?
Well, they're certainly going to be taken seriously. As soon as we found out about any allegation, we suspended him indefinitely from the program. And he has nothing to do with anything that I know of.
That's not true. As soon as the first report was found out about, he was suspended for 2 weeks in December and brought back onto the team December 15th, was able to play the Sugar Bowl as well as the national championship. What do you have to say about that?
I wasn't here for that. That had nothing to do with what we do here. What I found out about, as soon as I found out about the allegations, as soon as it was brought to our attention, he's been suspended indefinitely. So I have no comment about what happened in the past. That has nothing to do with me.
I mean,
God.
I appreciate you doing your job, but pull your head out of your ass before you're calling someone a liar and basically trying to throw them under the bus.
She's just doing that gotcha thing.
Is it not hard to figure out that Jed Fish had nothing to do with that? And I'm surprised he didn't take that a little more personally. And she's like, that's not true. I did love I wasn't here. I was coaching at Arizona. But yes, and this goes back to another kind of, I don't know how you want to view this, but again, when you look through, Softy was posting this about the guidelines for handling Title IX stuff like this at the University of Washington, how this comes from higher ups. They're the ones that actually make the decision. And when the higher ups say, no, he can play, that probably stems from the fact that players have sued, including that Illinois basketball player that sue and say, you can't tell me that I'm suspended when I haven't been charged with anything, that all it is an accusation. Now, if you want to go down the road of, then it's up to the coach to decide how much playing time he has. But again, now we have to ask the question is, the coaches don't know all the details. Supposedly, these things are supposed to be kept away from coaches so they're not involved in these decisions.
Because they don't want the coaches using their competitive juices to influence what happens here.
Yeah, so you do. I think it's a fair question to ask. What did DeBoer know? When did he know it? And because someone has been accused of something, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, because it is a sticky situation.
You can't. Some people may say, well, look, if it's as serious as rape, you should just suspend them until it's cleared up.
Well,
but you can't just do that because, as you mentioned, these lawsuits worked.
Yes. Well, here's the thing.
For the Illinois basketball player, namely.
Yeah. It was their best player, and they went to the Elite Eight. So if I'm an athlete and I've got a bunch of NIL money coming my way, and I'm trying to go on and play in the NFL, or I'm trying to go on and play in the NBA, and someone comes along and says, well, I'm accusing you of a crime, while they're investigating that crime, you're going to now tell me that I'm off the team? You're going to tell me that I no longer can play? You're going to tell me that my NIL goes away? Well, the court of law has said no. And yes, it's ugly, and I understand how weird that is. I thought the Illinois thing was very uncomfortable. Having someone that has been charged and will face charges of rape playing in the NCAA tournament. But much like the Duke case, I think we all have to realize that whether you like it or not, in this country, you are innocent until proven guilty. So this whole, gotcha thing of, well, it's Me Too and we should believe all people, sure, I understand that. But that's not the way the law works, and we've seen players now take this into into their own hands and say, if you suspend me, I am going to sue. So if you're a coach and it is taken out of your hands, and in Washington it is made by the higher ups. If the higher ups say this kid is eligible and plays, how can you as a coach, and again, not knowing all the details, how can you tell that kid he can't play?
Yeah, we've also got the punter guy.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Matt Ariza, a.k.a. Punt God.
Yeah. Was he with the Bills, maybe?
Yeah, the Bills, I believe, either drafted him late or signed him as an undrafted free agent, and then the allegations from San Diego State came out. They cut him. He missed a whole year, and I think, who was it that picked him up? Somebody recently signed him this offseason.
Yeah, someone signed him. Might have been was it the Chiefs?
I thought maybe it was the Chiefs.
I was thinking
Someone
Chiefs,
signed
too.
Yeah.
Chiefs or Bucks or something.
Someone signed him.
At any rate, it's a little different in the NFL. They can cut you for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So he got kind of a raw deal. None of it was true. He was not there.
No, he had left.
So, and he said that from the very beginning, and yet the Bills cut him anyway.
Yeah.
So as for Damian Martinez, he is now saying that the Oregon State collective lied to him.
Yes.
They are saying they
They're adamant about it.
They followed through 1,000% on everything that they promised.
Yeah, so Martinez is, he did the respect my decision, and this was his quote, and this was in text messages to the Oregonian and Oregon Live. He said, I want everyone to know they did not buy me a house. I did. They did not buy me a car. I did. They did not give me $400K. I didn't even receive $100K of the $400K. Like they say, it's a business decision. All these fans saying I got all this stuff and they gave me everything. The collective didn't give me anything. They lied. Quote.
Whoa.
That is...
Whoa.
That is a serious finger pointing.
Yes. Now, Damnation co-founder, Kyle, Bjornstead? So he's obviously one of the founders of their collective, and he came out and, again, very adamantly said, absolutely not. He said, every single thing that I or this collective said that they will do for a student athlete, we have 1,000 delivered, period. That's a fact. He declined to say what the dollar figure was on Martinez's name, but he said the running back was issued a first quarter payment prior to the end of March. He said that's what they do every quarter. He said that's pretty normal. He said that Damian, they don't do houses. He said they're not in that business. If you spend your money to buy a house, that's on you. He did say they provided him a car, but they never promised him a second car. They did say Damian Martinez had wanted a different car, and again, they said that's on you to go get your car, but they said they did provide him with a car. And he's saying that's all a fact. He said we gave him an NIL opportunity. He said we talked to him consistently about it. He said we never promised him anything that we didn't deliver, never ever, and said that he was completely blindsided by this.
Read Damian Martinez's quote again.
Okay,
I'm gonna jump in at certain points. So
he says, "I want everyone to know they did not buy me a house.
Okay,
I did.
Okay, so that they both agree.
Yes.
Okay, so what's next?
He said they did not buy me a car. I did.
That they both agree.
Yes. They did not give me $400K.
Okay, that $400K number came from a reporter.
Yes.
So that number could have been wrong. So maybe he's just saying that report was wrong.
But did they promise $400K?
Well, I don't know. And then what's his next?
I didn't receive even $100,000 of the $400K, which might go along with what Bjornstad, whatever that guy's name is, said that they do quarterly payments.
Yeah, maybe he hadn't gotten it yet.
Yeah.
Is some of it like for this upcoming season?
Like you have to stick around to get it. It's
yeah,
possible.
I don't know, man.
But he says, it's a business decision. All these fans saying I got all this stuff and they gave me everything. The collective didn't give me anything. And this is the bad part. He says, quote, they lied.
Yeah, I think he's kind of
You think you're kind of chopping words there?
Well, I feel like I know nothing of this story on an insider basis, but watching his behavior and the things that he has said, I think he's a bonehead. Like I think he's full of crap. That's what I'm sorry. Because he's the one that also said Jonathan Smith lied to him.
Yeah.
You know, so he has a history of throwing jabs, and I just don't. I also don't think the collective would do him like that. They have an interest in keeping him happy.
I agree.
No, 100%.
So
Like,
it's
that's
like-
the thing. Why would they want to screw him over?
Yeah, so maybe a lot of this is lost in sort of, what he expected.
Well,
maybe they told him no on some things and he's pissed about that. And that's part that we don't know.
Yeah.
But come on, dude.
Well, and this is the Bjornstad guy said, when you get involved with third-party agents, brokers, scouts, whatever, you're dealing
There
with
you
18 to
go.
22-year-olds. It's just people chip away at these kids until they break. He said
Yes.
that's just the truth. He says this personally hurt him because he says, I'm proud of what we're able to do. We're holding our own. You're not going to win every battle, but Alabama isn't winning everything either. The reason I'm able to sleep at night is because we're putting our best foot forward and doing exactly every single thing we can on the NIL part. I do not believe for 1 second that the Beaver Collective would screw over their best player and the one guy that seemingly was willing to stick out through it. I don't buy it.
Yeah, I think he's just and
I think
I didn't know. Well, I guess I should have known this. I just didn't think about it enough that the third party guys.
Yeah.
Now you're getting. I mean, those guys. Who are these people?
And I wonder if that muddies the water here, that maybe
Right.
he's not even having the direct conversations.
Exactly.
His representation saying, oh, yeah, they're going to take care of you, man. They're going to get you this, and this, and that's keeping Damian happy. But the collective's not actually telling the people
Well, it's
that.
funny, You brought this up, and it is an interesting point in that he's saying they didn't buy me a house. No, they didn't.
Oregon State said that.
Oregon State said it. And he said they didn't buy me a car. Well, technically, they got you a car. You just wanted a different car. So when you say you bought a car, I did, you could make the argument that's kind of massaging the truth, but it's there. They did not give me $400K. If indeed the $400K was the total and you only gave a quarterly payment, then yeah, you didn't give them $400K. Again, it's quarterly payment. So this could be one of those where you're not technically lying, but you're not telling the whole truth.
Him?
Damian Martinez.
But he says they lied.
That's
And, they
that's
didn't
the
lie.
only part.
He
that
just didn't get
seems-
all the info. Like Buck said, there's a secondhand guy who's feeding him crap.
Either that or two, you're looking for a reason to be kind of a when you come out and make the statement that you're going to be the one that sticks it out through this, and then you decide that I'm not going to. Maybe you look for a softer landing spot to say, yeah, I'm leaving, but I'm leaving because of XYZ, as opposed to I just don't want to do this anymore. Or someone came along with a much better offer.
And there's that. This whole thing the NIL crap is such a mess.
Sucks.
Such a mess.
Yep. It
But
sucks.
I feel like whoever gets him, they're getting a good running back, but I think they're also getting a dude who's just high maintenance.
Well,
And that's a nice way to say it.
Oh, up until this.
The
Well,
thing
I
is,
mean,
he really
well,
wasn't
gotta-
until, what was it, after the season? When did he got the whole, he got pulled over
DUI,
all smoking,
yeah.
but...
It wasn't really a DUI, was it?
No.
It was
like,
for...
he had it in the car or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
he didn't seem to be problematic until recently.
no. It's just unfortunately it's like divorces, right? You can't convince me that any divorce is really they're all ugly because someone is getting dumped. Right? Things don't end well because if they were going well, it wouldn't end. So there's always going to be someone with hard feelings. And the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle, and it's up to you to kind of decide, where you're at. And I would lean to more the collective in this one than Damian Martinez.
I just think when we think about, and I'll just keep it separate of Damian Martinez, but he seems like he could fall into this trap. A 21-year-old kid who is a coveted asset, and he knows it. For him to keep his ego in check, I would say more of them don't than do.
Yeah.
Okay, they're just young, and this is a new thing. It's a new landscape. He's got all these people telling him all these things. There's no rules. He's getting stuff. He wants more. A ton of money is attached to him. I think it's really easy to go down the Damian Martinez road, which seems to be what he's signifying, at least to me, that he's just he's trying to milk this for all it's worth. He's got a big ego. He knows he's good. He knows they need him, and he's working it.
Yeah.
And that's okay, I guess. It's just I just don't know. We're young kids there's a lot of them that are like this with their hands out.
Yeah. Well, and I'm asking this too, like with the car thing. So they didn't buy him a car; they leased him a car, right? Like
They provided him a car.
they provided a car, and that's most of the athletes. Utah buys their guys' cars; they get them. It's your car. Most athletes, though, you don't get the car.
You get to use the car.
You get to use the car. You lease a car. I looked at the car dealers in Corvallis. You got Power Chevrolet and Buick. You got Toyota Corvallis, and you got a Nissan of Corvallis.
You got a Highlander.
Yeah. So that's.
That's Toyota.
Well, there's a
You got
Toyota.
a Pathfinder.
Yeah, there is a Toyota.
There's a Toyota of Corvallis.
That's exactly what the text line said. I'm guessing they got him a Highlander and he wanted a Benz.
So
Exactly.
when you get the Highlander or you get the Nissan Altima or whatever, and you're feeling pretty good, and then you have a second season where you have a really good run, and you're like, hey, I wanna whatever, and they're like, well, we have to work with one of our dealerships, right? Like, I can't go to Vancouver Ford and be like, hey guys, I really appreciate the lease on this Mustang, but you know what? I'm gonna need a Mercedes Benz. I'm like, well, unfortunately, there is not a Vancouver Mercedes. No, I want a It doesn't work like that.
So can I predict that he goes to a school where there is a giant collective? Can I just predict that? Because he is going to go somewhere where they're going to roll out the red carpet. He sounds like somebody who is he's talking like somebody who wants that.
Yes.
He wants the red carpet. He wants everything that he believes he deserves, and they're going to give it to him.
Especially as a guy who was under-recruited initially, who didn't have all the offers. Now he's got his chance to catch in, and he's going to go take it.
By the way, that's not Oregon State. And so that's maybe the rub here. And so if he goes to USC or if he goes to, I don't know what the schools are.
If you see,
A&M
he's
maybe.
from Texas. Have you seen what the skilled players with the Longhorns get?
No.
You know what their car dealer and this isn't for every player, but the skilled players, the receivers and running backs, they have a deal with the car dealer of Austin, and it is not a Toyota and it is not a Honda. Do you remember what the Alabama receiver rolled up in?
Was it a Lambo?
It's a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So there is an exotic dealership in Austin that does Ferraris and Lamborghinis and things like that. And supposedly that's the when you are a high profile skill position player at the University of Texas, you get the lease on the Lamborghini or the Ferrari.
Horns up on that one.
So my guess is that Damian Martinez is he'll be heading someplace that has not a Toyota dealership, but maybe something with gull wing doors. And,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Maybe this is all speculation. We don't really know.
I just tend to lean towards, I do not buy that the damn collective screwed him over. I don't.
So coming up next, we will get to our Masters picks. Here's Buck.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on the Fan, the Mariners in action earlier today. They avoid the sweep at the hands of the Blue Jays. They went to extras, tied 1-1. Mariners put up a 5 spot in the top of the 10th, led by a Cal Raleigh 2-run homer. On the College Diamond, Oregon State superstar Travis Bazzana set the Beavers' all-time home run record last night with the 35th of his career. Up in Seattle, off the gridiron, University of Washington running back Tybo Rogers has been arrested on 2 counts of rape. Court documents indicate that the team knew about at least one of the incidents when Rogers played both college football playoff games. He's been suspended from all team activities. In college hoops, legendary Stanford women's coach Tara Vanderveer is retiring after 38 seasons at the helm. She won 3 titles and also has the women's all-time wins record with 1,216. The Masters scheduled to tee off tomorrow morning, though weather reports indicate rain, high winds, and potential thunderstorms could delay the first round, but it leads into a clear weekend. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Do it every morning. Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. It's time for Who's Leading the Charge. A look under the hood at the coaches, players, and teams getting it done.
the weather will affect the Masters.
But if it's just the one day, they'll still be able to finish it on Sunday. They'll just cram them in the first couple days.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
That's what they usually do.
But Buckley was asking a good question. He said, well, what happens if you have tickets to only Thursday? Let's say they get some golf in, but not a lot. And then they start to double up on Friday.
You just hooped, right?
Well, so there's a difference between badges and tickets. When you hear somebody say Masters badge, that is an annual pass that typically runs in the family. Like, for example, Masters Pete, who, he's the OG, right? He got me into the Masters the first time several years ago, the year Patrick Reed won. His buddy is Jeff Wallace, the legendary women's tennis coach at the University of Georgia.
So he's the one that gets throws.
He gets them every year. Yeah. And so Pete's his buddy. Pete asked, hey, this guy on the radio, I love their show. He really wants to go to the Masters, and they threw me a bone, and I'm very thankful for that.
You went, 2 days?
Well, we went one day, but then rain moved in because they were earmarked for another day, but the guy who was using them the next day didn't want to go out in the rain, and so he didn't even think to text us and be like, hey, you guys want to go? Because we flew out there all the way from Oregon. They all live in Georgia. Yeah. So to him, it was no big deal. They were just going to sit on his bookshelf for the day. And we were talking about it over a beer, like, hey, should we?
You think he's even using them?
Yeah, should we ask? And we asked, and he's like, yeah, go ahead. So we got lucky, got in the second day. Now, Byron, this new guy is also a listener who is hooking me up this year, and we're going to call him Byron Masters. Because I think that has a better
Masters Pete, Byron
sounds
Masters.
esteemed. Byron Masters.
Yeah. Well, he's got badges and he gets them every year. He married a woman whose grandfather was a member at Augusta National.
What a power play!
No kidding.
That is excellent.
So his grandfather, his name was Robert Ullman, and he was the CEO of NCR. He's basically known as the guy who automated cash registers. But he was a big deal. He ended up being the chairman of the tournament policy board of the PGA. And his children each get 2 badges a year.
Okay.
Well, his wife's mom, one of his children, doesn't give a rip, gives them to Byron every year. So a badge is different than a ticket. Byron has badges. They're in that family.
So you can go every day, anytime you want.
Anytime you want. That's right. He's got 2. So he chooses to go on Thursday, and then he offers them up, just like Jeff Wallace did, to different people for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Makes sense.
And so he is going tomorrow, and I was texting back and forth with him. He said he doesn't really care. He goes every year, and he loves it, and he won't be bothered if he doesn't see a ton of golf tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you have a ticket, so then the guys who come in for Friday, he's going to pass those off in Augusta. They use the same badges. They'll pass them off to the guys who go Saturday. We'll meet him and get the badges on Saturday night and go on Sunday. If you have a ticket, you are hooped if it rains.
Wow.
They will not, there's no rain checks or anything.
Because when you do the Masters lottery, that is for tickets.
That's just tickets.
That's tickets.
Yeah. And, some people get lucky, win in the lottery, go to the Masters, and it's great. But, I mean, if they don't play for a day,
if I won
your
tickets
day
for Thursday and I was paying to fly out there, I mean, there's nothing you can do, but that would be rough.
Boy,
really rough.
I think you check the weather and maybe if there's a chance, I don't know if you make that trip if all you have is for the one day.
Or you just you're already down there, you just try to get your way. You got to find
a
way.
Yeah.
Find
beg,
your
borrow,
way.
and steal.
Hop a fence.
Go talk to John Daly at Hooters. Maybe he can get you in. I don't know.
Hide in a trunk somewhere.
Anyway, it could be dicey tomorrow, but they're saying it should be nice Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
So
if you are going to get a delay, better to have it delayed the first day and we finish up.
Yeah, they'll
Sunday.
get it in. It's just tomorrow might be a little dicey. The odds-on favorite, of course, Scotty Scheffler.
By the way, if you're doing a hole, does Tiger make the cut? I think this affects it.
Yeah.
Because if you're
agree.
having to cram in, maybe not 36, but let's say you're having to cram in 28 holes of golf in one day, LT Gray and walking, I think that's interesting if you're thinking about Tiger making a cut bet.
That's true. Assuming that hasn't affected the line. I'm sure the odds makers know that.
True.
And baking that in there. But Scotty Scheffler plus 450.
Best at one point it was just plus 400.
I saw it get all the way to plus 350.
350. We have not seen these odds at a major championship since Tiger was young Tiger and was in his Tiger Slam run.
And it was essentially Tiger or the field.
That's what we're dealing with here with Scotty Scheffler.
So the odds are I'm not on him. I have him in a pool, but I'm not on him just because those odds are
they're not worth playing.
No, because he'll. I mean, he's awesome. He's going to be up there.
Yep.
But he's got to putt better than he has recently in order to win that thing.
In regards to Scheffler, you can basically get even money on top 5. I think that's the better bet than him to win the whole thing.
Rory is up there. I'm just looking through the favorites. Rory is next. I don't know. He's been really inconsistent, but he's a top 10. At majors, he's a top 10 machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he hasn't won a major in 10 years. So I don't know what to do with him. He's working with Butch Harmon now. He just finished second or third last week, so I feel like he's right there, but I don't trust it. I don't know.
Masters is terrifying.
I don't know about him. I don't think he's ever going to win the Masters. I think it's too in his head.
I'm not betting on that. I'm not touching it. So I usually do to win. I usually do 3 or 4 long shots that I'll bet $20 on. There's a Nick Dunlap who's a rookie. And you look at his numbers, dude, he is plus 35,000 to win. And we haven't seen a rookie at the Masters win since Fuzzy did it in like 1979 or whatever.
So it doesn't happen. It's like a 50-year thing.
But well, Fuzzy wasn't a rookie in 79.
Well, it was his first Masters.
Oh. He was a debutant.
He was the last guy for his first Masters win. But this Dunlap kid, when you look at him, dude, it is ridiculous. He is a full-on prodigy. He became the first amateur golfer to win the American Express Championship or even a PGA event since Phil Mickelson, 33 years. He ranks number 1 in fewest putts, number 2 in par 5 scoring, number 10 in driving distance. Like, if there is someone that can break through as a young guy and plus 35,000, the hell, man,
That's worth a few bucks.
I'll put a few bucks on that, and you can get him. You can get him in the top 20, which I think is great value. You can get it right now at plus 3,000 at top 20. So I got a little, top 10. Top 20 is like plus 1,000. So there's some like I kind of do my research on when I'm making my golf bets, and his name keeps circling back. That no one likes the rookies there, but there's some real value, and he's got the sort of game that could play well at Augusta.
Well, that Oberg guy,
people are high on him.
Yes,
he's a debutant.
I mean, his game is sick, but people are really high on him.
So I think what you're just looking for is value.
Yeah,
and the debutantes, you get some value on them because their odds are longer because they're new to the course. Yep. Wyndham Clark has won this year. He's never played there. So you can probably get some good value, like you're saying, on Dunlap, but also Oberg and Clark. These guys.
Wyndham Clark, by the way, plus 300 for a top 10 finish.
What's he to win? Because he's good enough to win.
Let's see what Clark is.
But no one's going to bet on him.
No one's going to bet on him. But plus 300 to be. The other one, too, is
Wyndham's 30 to 1.
30 to 1.
So 3,000.
That I see a lot of guys saying, and it's not a long shot, but Sam Burns is a name that I saw popping up over and over and over again. 4 top 10 finishes, including at Pebble Beach.
Yeah, he's a good player. I don't know. There are so many guys you can make a case for. That's the thing.
Do you have 1 or 2 long shots you like, Isaac?
I do. There's a couple guys. One, and I don't know if he's much of a long shot, but Joaquin Niemann right now they say that he may be hitting the ball better than anybody on tour not named Scotty Scheffler, but he plays over at Live, and so nobody's paying attention.
I read a little bit about this as well.
Joaquin Niemann is an interesting pick. Shane Lowry is in form.
He's
a good
Lowry
one.
Stuff.
I've always liked Tony Finau on this course. He plays well here.
He's 35 to 1.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet.
Shoffley's plus 1,600, and I've seen plenty of people say that he's a nice guy to win the whole thing.
He's not a long shot.
No, he's not a long shot.
He was asking about long shots. I think Thigala is interesting, and I think Sung Jae Im is a guy who could do well. Those are longer shots. Now, let's break, and when we come back, I'll give you my official pick. I want Buck and Sook's official pick, and this is to win the tournament.
Okay, except I've got when I gamble,
you got to pick one.
I got to pick one.
Your biggest one.
Not long shot. Who I actually think is going to win.
The winner
so
of
just
the golf
one
tournament.
to win?
Okay.
The winner of the golf tournament.
All right.
And we'll do that next. It's 5:52 on the Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics, brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
It was huge. You know, as someone you always look up to and, you know, kind of as a quarterback.
Seggy. Then we get to the club. Masters picks. I want everybody's winner pick. There was one, by the way, there was one other. I was going through the top guys on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm.
Scheffler, Tee to Green, amazing, but his price is just too steep for me.
It's not. There's no value in it.
Rory McIlroy plus 1,000. Still, I don't know what to do with him. I just don't. I don't know what to do with Rory.
Not touching him.
I don't think I'm going to bet him.
I read some things that this year he's talking differently about going into the tournament, about playing safer, about playing smarter, being more strategic, and that hasn't kind of been his case before. It's also his 10th time going for the career slam, so some people like him because they seem like they think he's getting a little wiser, but I don't know.
Like I said, he's a top 10 machine at majors, but I don't see it. Then you have John Rahm, who I'm fading I think the live thing is all up in his kitchen, and he won last year. He's not going back to back.
No.
And then you have two guys. One is the guy who has in majors over the last 10 years has beaten everybody by 20 shots. Do you know who that is? It's not Scheffler and it's not Rahm.
I believe I do.
And it's not Rory. There is one guy who has blown everyone else away in majors over the last 10 years.
You going with Koepka?
Brooks Koepka. And he's sitting there at plus 1,600.
He's won, what, 4 of them?
He damn near won last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I thoroughly underrate him. I don't know why.
I think everyone does.
He just is. He's awesome, and he's going to be right there.
Yeah.
I didn't bet him because I never do. I underrate him.
Well, it's two things. It's the live and it's the not giving an F kind of attitude that he has.
I guess so, but
I guess he's got 5. He's won. I was like, has he won 4? No, he's got 2 U.S. Opens and 3 PGAs.
Do not overlook him. But the guy that I bet, my big bet to win. Now I've got a lot of other stuff that's not worth going into, but to win, and I bet this several weeks ago. And his odds have plummeted. So I got him at a good price. But he is the number 2 guy on tour this year behind Scheffler, tee to green. And it's not really even close. Xander Schauffele.
There you go.
Schauffele, I got him at plus 2,200. He is down to
that's nice.
Plus 16 right now. I bet him at plus 18.
He's at plus 1,400 now.
14, plummeting then.
And look, no one believes in him because he's always right there and he never wins.
I think he's finished in the top 10 in majors 11 times. And I hate to be the piggyback guy, but him and Zalatoris were the 2 guys that I picked.
I will also be picking Schauffele to win.
Well,
you've got to be kidding me.
The thing about Schauffele's a hot pick because
that means he's not going to win, guys.
Probably not.
It'll
probably be Scheffler.
He's a hot pick because people are smart in that
he's got all the game to do it.
And not only that, he's never been playing better going into this tournament. He is playing great, dude. He was right behind. So people forget this because Wyndham Clark missed that putt on 18, but at the Players' Championship won by Scottie Scheffler, Xander Schauffele missed a short birdie putt on 17, or he would have forced a playoff with Scheffler. And then he'd be up there with Rory and Scheffler in terms of odds. So, and he came right back after the Players, and he top 5'd again, I think, the week after. So I always struggle with guys who they talk about, and Rory's another one where they talk about, well, he just can't win this tournament, or he can't win a major. Rory's won majors, but now he hasn't won in 10 years. Will he ever do it again? Spieth gets a little bit of this too. And Xander's never won a major, but I always hate that because those guys are clearly good enough to win majors. So I don't put a lot of stock in the fact that he hasn't won one yet. Phil Mickelson never won a major for years until he's won 7. So I think Schauffele's got the game, and he's never been playing better going in. So I bet him a couple of weeks ago. I feel great about it. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win the tournament.
My 2 biggest bets were Schauffele, and it's not necessarily a long shot. I think I got it about plus 4,000 was Zalatoris, who was the runner-up there in 2021. He had some back issues, but he had the back surgery. He said he's never felt better. He's been picking Tiger Woods' brain. Has been playing.
Yeah, they played practice round together this week.
Practice round together. He's had a couple top 4 finishes already. Last week, I think he was like the 13th, and people forget that Zalatoris a couple years ago was kind of the next big thing, and then he had some back problems, and I guess those are fixed. So, and I thought he, from an odd standpoint, not a long shot, but plus 4,000, and then I got Schauffele at plus 1,800.
Yeah, he wasn't 13th last week. I will say I agree with you about him in general. I think he's going to be a stud, but he was 74th last week, and he was cut the week before at the Players. So he has the last 2 weeks he's looked a little weird, and so I kind of backed off of him. But I do like him, and in this course, it's all about guys who play this course well, and he has played this course really well. So he's nasty.
I'm not picking him to win, but for all the reasons you just said, I have him top 20 at even odds, even money.
Okay, who's your pick?
I'm also going with Schauffele, and I'm kind of doing a waterfall thing. I'll split 3 bets. I'll go win, top 5, and top 10 for Schauffele. I'm also going to play top 5 for Scheffler, but Schauffele's the one I really like to win.
You know, nobody mentioned Hideki Matsuyama.
No, I always have a little bit of cheddar on him because the BTJ requires it.
Yeah, that's not bad cheddar.
That's
a good pick.
Big freaking deal. And by the way, in reference to the BTJ, that is the largest golf win that I've ever had. I had Matsuyama to win the Masters. That was my largest golf pick.
What was the odds you got on it? Do you remember?
It was significant. It wasn't like plus, it wasn't plus 30,000 or anything, but I want to say it was
probably 20 to 1 or somewhere in there.
something like that. It was a decent chunk of change a couple years ago when I did that, and I have always put a little money on my man Hideki.
Somebody mentioned on the text line, they said, "Here's the winner," and they put a name up there, and I will throw something if this guy wins, but he's really good, and he's kind of another guy who people say, well, I don't know if he can get over the hump, I don't know if he can win a major, but he may be a good bet this year because no one's talking about him. We've just gotten off of him. We're finally, it's like this guy, and that's when these guys are most dangerous, when there's no pressure on
Who are you
him.
talking about?
Patrick Cantlay.
Oh, okay.
That effer, who I can't stand him,
but he can play,
and so I won't bet on him. But he's awful good, and he is being overlooked right now.
Didn't see him come up on any of the stuff when I was kind of digging around.
And that's when he's most dangerous. That's kind of like Hideki.
Feels like I haven't even heard his name since the Ryder Cup.
I don't like that everyone picked Xander Schauffele. I'm very This is not good news.
Well,
I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
You've got everything pointing at him. Like, he's playing great, as good as anybody. He plays great at this course. He plays great in majors. Like, there's nothing not to love about him.
Yeah,
so you kind of have to have a little cheddar on him.
What I don't love is the three of us all picked him. I don't like it.
Well, I was first.
That's because you went first.
No, I picked him 3 weeks ago.
Oh, that is true.
Plus 2,200. See, at 1,400,
you got better odds.
1,400, I could talk myself out of that bet. 2,200.
Yeah, because like 2,200 right now will get you like Jordan Spieth or Joaquin Neiman to win it.
Yeah, and Spieth ain't winning that thing. Neiman's interesting.
I do think Neiman's interesting.
Yeah, somebody asked, where's Morikawa? No, nobody believes in him either.
No,
hasn't he kind of fallen apart at the start of the season?
He's not.
He's like in some of his worst form he's ever played,
Well,
and that's why his odds are so low. He's like 55 to 1.
His putter is terrible. I mean, the guy can't. He putts like me. And look, you haven't seen me.
And you have a putting green in your backyard.
Dude, it's bad. Yes, I have a putting green. Do you think Colin Morikawa has that? No.
I bet he does.
Oh, he probably does. All right, the club is next. We have a follow-up to the Delta Eclipse flights. How did those go? Next on The Fan.
Hey, it's Suk.
lied to and was the victim of fraud.
To answer your question, Buck, how he gets into the accounts is Ohtani does not handle his own accounts.
Well, sure.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And so
so who else let him in? Like, how did this guy get in?
The people that handle his accounts trust the bookie.
They trust the interpreter.
The interpreter. And so when the interpreter tells them he needs this or that, they probably think it's for Shohei. He probably duped a lot of people.
So does this Ipe, does he essentially, in addition to being an interpreter, like act as an assistant? Because like, what would an interpreter need $4.5 million for?
Well, my guess
or access to his account for.
I guess is he is probably. I mean, they said he was like his closest friend.
I know. I'm just wondering how he gets in. That's.
I would imagine Shohei. I don't know. I just think.
I get it that he could be in the dark and there's other people involved. I'm just like wondering how you actually get in front of the computer with the ability to wire transfer.
Somebody who handles his money sends it to you,
and they just don't ask questions when he says 500 here, 500 there.
Yes, because that's because of who he is,
and because they trust Ipe the way Ohtani does.
Look through any one of these stories from Billy Joel to Elton John to any of these high profile people that have been defrauded of. By the way, way more. Billy Joel lost $90 million. And it's all the same sort of thing. It's when you are this high up, a lot of times you have no interest in the money. You have people that handle that. And it's always the middle guy that says, hey, don't worry. You build up trust over a certain period of time, and then you get your hands in the cookie jar. And you know, once these guys are skilled at it. I'm sure originally it's something along the lines of it's like the boiling the frog in the boiling water. Maybe the interpreter with Ohtani, it starts talking to the financial guys and it's like, hey, Ohtani wants to buy this car and he's legitimate. You do this enough times where all of a sudden Ohtani's like, dude, just take care of this. And
that makes sense to me, that he would build trust over time with real things and then use it for that.
And then eventually the interpreter's like, hey, Ohtani needs X amount of money. And they're like, yeah, okay. Or eventually you do just get access to it.
Or it just needs to go to this random number for the wire transfer. It doesn't have names and itemized things attached to it.
I think when we hear interpreter, we aren't thinking what this guy really was.
We're not giving enough credit to the relationship.
Yes, it sounds like, by all accounts, that this guy was way more than an interpreter.
I buy it.
He was the guy. And, it's one thing, and that's why I said just let the investigation play out. It's one thing to say that you have a fall guy. But when the feds are involved and they're investigating, the FBI isn't looking the other way and saying that, oh, no, this is good.
And they're not letting you dupe them.
No. So it's at least according to these reports, the Fed's investigation did find that he is the victim and had no idea and was lied to, and that the interpreter will indeed be charged and is going to plead guilty because they got him dead to rights.
All right, so a listener forwarded this on, but somebody on the tweets laid out a thread about how the Delta Airlines Eclipse flights went.
Yeah.
And we told you about this last week, but Monday there was a big eclipse. It's where the moon and the sun,
they get it on.
Do it.
It's moon sex. You know people were doing it in the Midwest of the eclipse.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I think.
You got to finish, though.
You got
2 minutes.
4 minutes.
4.
Isn't it 4?
I thought it was 2.
Well,
no, it was 4 because there was a reporter who said, the most exhilarating 4 minutes of my entire life. When the dark circle passed over the dark circle.
The guy's like, honey, that was way more than 4 minutes. What are you talking about? It's 20 minutes.
Yeah, so they did these special flights from Dallas to Detroit and Austin to Detroit, and they were only to view the eclipse. And they sold out in 24 hours, and people got on there, and they paid $900 one way to just go and see the eclipse. They were going to bank the plane. The pilots were talking about banking the plane 30 degrees. Everybody puts their glasses on. They see the eclipse. Amazing.
There you go.
So here is what Zach Griff said. He said, it was a moment that millions have been waiting for, and Delta went all out. The airline flew 2 sold-out Path of Totality flights from Texas to Detroit on Monday, and I was lucky to snag a window seat on one of them. Here's what it was like on board. Delta literally and figuratively rolled out the red carpet, starting in the Sky Club. Inside, there was a special solar eclipse table with Delta handing out glasses in partnership with Warby Parker.
Okay.
The airline also had 2 specialty solar eclipse-themed cocktails. The gate area was adorned with a massive celebratory balloon arch There were 20-plus Delta employees wearing Eclipse A gear and carrying signs with the airline's Eclipse motto, "Climbing the Cosmos."
I see what they did there.
Nearly everyone knew what they were getting themselves into, except for the six-packs who had no idea they had booked a special Eclipse flight.
Really? There's just people that just booked the flight?
What is PAX? Except for the 6 PAX, PAX.
Is that an abbreviation for passengers?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't either. I don't know what that means. It says 1 PAX traveled from AMS.
I think it has to be passenger. They're just shortening it. I don't know why.
For the occasion. Another waited until this flight to propose to his longtime girlfriend.
Oh.
She said yes. The party continued once on board. Passengers exchanged Eclipse stories. The pilots handed out commemorative trading cards, and people oohed and awed as they got to their seats to find fully stocked swag bags with treats, gear, and Eclipse A glasses.
That's pretty cool.
What kind of gear? Is
It
that the
just-
Warby Parker stuff?
It just says Eclipse. It just says
got
gear.
stuff. You know.
And there's a photo
I
here.
just
Let
don't
me-
even know what Eclipse gear is.
Let me look.
Well, I mean, you get the glasses. Maybe there was some clever themed, like when you go to a bachelorette party, how all the gummies are in the shape of peanut, like everything's a penis shape. Maybe there's
There's
a,
a
lot
hat that says "Climbing the Cosmos." Look like a trucker type hat.
Boy, let me just say
There's some
this.
solar eclipse sun chips on there.
There's two types of people in this world.
Appears to be a moon pie.
Those that wear, this is like the equivalent of wearing the Oregon Coast sweatshirt. I just, you imagine like leaving the house, you're like, hold on, let me throw on my Eclipse hat. Like, really?
Commemorative Eclipse gear.
Like, I enjoy going to the Grand Canyon as much as the next guy. You know what I didn't do when I was at the Grand Canyon? Buy a Grand Canyon hat. I just
Tell me you're a dork without telling me you're a dork.
right. It's a little like I'm not.
My dad and stepmom went to Australia once, and they came back with like a baseball hat that was like khaki with a silhouette of a kangaroo on it, and it said Australia. And I'm like, I didn't effing go to Australia. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna wear this.
It's just it's a bit much.
Also, there's a keychain.
Oh,
So
Now that you can use.
now that's called gear.
souvenir stuff. Like as I've gotten older, I even like concert shirts and everything. You just need to take a step back in the moment and ask yourself.
Anything with a date on it, really.
Yeah,
that could be a rule of thumb.
About 90 minutes into the flight, the pilots asked the FAs to, that would be flight attendants, to put the galley carts away and dim the cabin lights. That could only mean one thing: the Eclipse A was coming.
There's a buzz. It's palpable.
Then it happened. First, the right side of the plane got their view, and then the left side got theirs. With fares starting at $699 in economy and climbing to over $1,299 for first class, I would have expected an amazing view of totality from 30,000 feet. After all, how much better could it be seeing the eclipse from above the clouds that covered Austin on Monday morning? What I got instead was a momentary glimpse of the action, along with a strained neck from contorting myself into an ideal configuration to see the Eclipse A.
Shouldn't really be surprising. Those are really tiny windows.
That didn't stop
Those weren't
passengers from celebrating once it was bright again outside. I counted 25 passengers airdropping photos to each other while others took pictures of other people's shots. It was as if everyone had been best friends for years. The party didn't stop once we deplaned. There was an elaborate arrival celebration where passengers enjoyed some light bites, picked up their commemorative T-shirts, and chatted with one another. You see how they saved the T-shirts for last?
Again,
Put it over the top.
What do you chat about after the eclipse?
don't wear the commemorative.
I think the eclipse.
How stupid you are for spending $1,200 to go on this one-way flight and get a T-shirt.
They even had astronaut Scott Kelly making an appearance at the after party. On my way home, I overheard a passenger say, "Next time, let's do it from the ground." While the Delta flight was no doubt a highlight for this aviation enthusiast, I wholeheartedly agree. When 2044 comes around, you will find me watching the Eclipse A from terra firma.
Huh. I would have thought that would have been cooler to see it.
The
from-
end. He
from-
posted
from
a
the sky.
picture. Here's what his picture of the eclipse looks like. Here. That's
that
from the plane.
sucks.
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
What?
That's it.
Really?
That's what they saw.
No.
Yeah.
So you don't even get the full effect of the eclipse.
I'm telling you, I think the tiny window would probably ruin the experience.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because I didn't see the eclipse, because one, we're out here, and two, I wasn't going to go out and look at it, but Boy, you spent a lot of money to get a commemorative T-shirt that you'll never wear.
Well, do you think that's why they went all out with all the swag and stuff? Because
They
they
knew.
have to really
Yeah.
sell that was a big thing, even though it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that you're gouging people and on the way home. So yeah, you have to try to
lessen You have to
the
soften the blow.
Well, and this does happen at times where when you're hyped up for something, you ever had this where there's an event that's really hyped and you go and you know it really wasn't that cool, but everyone was so jazzed up that no one wants to be the buzzkill. So you all just kind of pretend that it was better than it was.
Everyone gives it like a B+ when it was really like a C-.
Yes.
Yeah.
Might I add Mount Rushmore?
Yeah,
to
people
that.
do that all the time.
Ooh, everyone says that about Mount Rushmore.
I was there with a bunch of people,
Unimpressive.
and everyone was kind of like, "Oh man!" and they were like hyping it up and talking about it. But I saw the look and the tone in everyone where we were all thinking the same thing.
Have you ever had the opposite experience where you thought something was going to be lame and then you got there and you're like, whoa, that's actually way cooler than I thought?
Yeah, biggest ball of twine in Minnesota.
Ooh, all right.
You thought that was going to be lame? Idiot.
Twine ball. I'm trying to think of something that was like that totally blew away my expectations.
Landmark style? You
Yeah,
mean?
I got a noodle with that.
It's a good question.
That is a good question because more often than not, I'm not going to lie, you're probably underwhelmed because anytime you're going on a destination thing, if
it's a landmark, it's been hyped, right? Like usually.
Yeah.
I've said Mount Rushmore is the most disappointing. It is the most disappointing. I guess I went there specifically to see Mount for no other reason. We were like, hey,
Well,
what
yeah,
do you
why
want to
else
do?
would you go there?
There is no reason. And let me ask you or tell you, there's no reason. There's no other reason. There's not even that reason. Don't do it. Don't.
Yeah, I think everybody expects what like the up close photo of it looks like, and I've heard that scale is just awful. It's not that big and not that impressive.
Terrible. Terrible. It's just, I've never been more let down by something in my entire life. Unless Nicolas Cage is finding me buried treasure up Washington's nose, be prepared to be wildly disappointed. I'm trying to think of what. All right, when we come back,
come back.
There's got to be some that
You
that
noodle
blew
with
me
that.
away.
All right. We'll be right back. It is 6:23 on the Fan. Hey, it's April, which is spring cleaning time and spring weather. We had a nice day out there today, but this is a critical time of the year to check the status of your home's windows. get from an eclipse, you can only feel those on the ground. One is the temperature change. The animals and birds shut up. Crickets start chirping. On a plane, all you get is a crap window. That from Andrew. And he's right.
Yeah. Well, and in the plane, it didn't appear to be a total eclipse because the angle of the plane, it didn't look nearly as cool as it did from the photos that I've seen on the ground.
Well, look, when people were on that flight, they're saying, hey, I'll just watch it from the ground next year or next time. Yeah, I think that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
So Buck's question is what landmark did you think was going to suck or you didn't expect much from, but actually surprised you?
I got a couple. Because one surprised me the first one that came to mind was, it sounds weird, but it's in an awful way, but I was not prepared for it to impact me that way. And it's Auschwitz. I remember, like, I took a train to Auschwitz, and I remember going there and just being like, oh, it's a museum, and, like we're just going along, and, hey, we're having a grand old time, whatever. And, like, you pull up, and you see I forget what the translation is, like, freedom through work. You see the sign, like the entryway, and you realize that the train coming in, like, that's where everyone came in. And immediately you're like, holy God.
There's some real gravity there.
It just, like a ton of bricks. I went in thinking one thing, and I'm not going to say I thought it was going to be overwhelmed, but I've been to museums. I thought it would be a museum. And it changed immediately. And I've never had a place that left a lasting impact like that on me, ever. I will never forget it. Just eerie silent. I don't think I said a word the entire time, and never would have said that in a million years. Pulling up there, I just thought it was a museum, and I wanted to see it because when am I going to be over there again? And by the way, we were coming from Germany, so I was like, oh, go see this thing. No, that's the one in like that's like a bad, awful kind of thing. And then the other one in a positive one that I didn't appreciate was the Shibuya station, the main
Shibuya crossing
in Tokyo.
Yeah,
I took a subway 25 years ago, and I wanted to see Rush Hour Tokyo, so I took a subway train at like 3:00 into the middle of that, and was like, I'm gonna see what this is like. 5:00 on it was like Thursday in Tokyo, and just kind of walk around, and I was like, whoa. I thought I've been to New York, been a lot of places. Never seen anything like it. Absolutely just floored me. I was not prepared in any way, and it was hilarious and fun and just a sea of people and walking around Tokyo. I did not think that walking around and just being amongst that many people could be so much fun. I had an absolute blast.
My wife and I did the same thing. We posted up on like the 4th floor of a record store for a little while above ground and watched like the crossings change, and it's like the mass movements are like coordinated. It's crazy.
It's like seeing a David Attenborough thing, like where the fish
kinda
all like move together in one lot. And I was trying to get over like from one side of the sidewalk to the other so that I could start crossing, and I just did the Clark W. Griswold. I started laughing when I was like, I can't get left. I'm just trying to shove my way through this wall of Japanese people, and they're like not having it.
Could I offer up one that might be controversial?
Go for it.
Again, landmarks you thought were going to be disappointing but weren't. The U.S. Capitol.
Okay.
U.S. Capitol is pretty badass.
I think the whole D.C. Mall is amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't disappoint them all. But the Capitol in particular, because the White House is like, eh.
The White House, by the way, it's not.
That goes under the underwhelming category.
Yes. I thought it would be much bigger.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
No, and then
you can't come anywhere close either. So there's no experience.
To me, the Washington Monument isn't. It's like whatever. But the Capitol, when you get to there's something about the Capitol. Of course, you were there for January 6th.
Yeah, I was there.
You've seen it.
We saw some stuff.
So
it was a guided tour. Me and some friends.
Yeah, with spears.
I'm asking where the white power rankings go.
You say spear, I say American flag.
The color white to me just always works.
Here's somebody who said, I've been to Mount Rushmore. My wife insisted she see it. I took her, and she asked why I was getting housed before we saw it. I told her it will make it more interesting. It did not.
No. Don't go. I'm telling you.
That's fantastic.
If you ever take one thing I say on this program to heart, Do not go to Mount Rushmore. It sucks.
You know, when we were in Italy, we drove from, I don't remember, we had so many parts of that trip that I don't remember which part we were on, but we drove through the town of, or by the town of Pisa for the Leaning Tower. We didn't even stop. We didn't even see it. I just know that it was going to be disappointing.
Disappointing.
Really?
The Mona Lisa. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like a landmark as much as it is like a piece of art people go see, but there's nothing special.
I think I would have
And it's
had
small,
to have
right?
seen the tower.
That too.
Yeah, but see, that's the mistake. The mistake is, well, we're here. We've got to go. No, we don't. Let's get to the coast. That thing's stupid. It's a leaning building. Who cares?
You don't want to get your cool little photo, like pretending to hold it up?
No, I sure don't. What else?
Put it on the gram.
I'm trying to think. Again, another one that I wasn't prepared for of how powerful it was going to be. I flew over. I mean, not directly over, but speaking of bank, they turned the plane. I flew into New York. So this would have been in what? February, the next year after 9/11.
Oh.
So it was still smoking.
Ground zero. Wow.
And I did not have an appreciation for the size. You know, and this was from an airplane. This
So
was,
she said.
They didn't have the viewing platform or anything yet. It was still pretty early. And on TV, I mean, you see it, but then when we were coming in, I don't remember if we were coming into JFK or LaGuardia, I forget which one, but they, you know, the guy was like, hey, if you look out to the left, and they turned the plane a little bit as we went, and you look down, and, you know, everything looks small in an airplane. No, it was just the area and the destruction, and it was still smoking. That was one of those where I was like, what wasn't prepared.
3 of them coming in on the text line. One, I thought the Eiffel Tower was going to be overrated, but it was incredible.
I felt exactly the same way. I thought it was going to be the biggest tourist attraction that was kind of a nothing burger in Europe. It was great. It was awesome.
Somebody else said Crater Lake, way better than expected. See, I don't expect... I've only been to Crater Lake once, but I did not expect it to disappoint. I was expecting... And it does live up.
As expected.
Crater Lake's amazing, but it's... I don't know. I think the question here is something that you were thinking would be meh, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And for me, Crater Lake, I didn't think it would be meh.
You
But
thought it was
he
gonna
may
be great.
He maybe thought otherwise. And another one was... he says, for me, no question, the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, if you may think the Grand Canyon is going to be like Mount Rushmore, and the Grand Canyon will take your breath away. 100%. And I'll go into that. I'm not going to say that I'm the biggest fan of going to the Grand Canyon, but if you're in Vegas, make the drive, and you will. I mean, there's that stuff you can do. You can hike and camp and whatever, but just sitting out and looking over it, you'll get a little stunned silence. You'll get some stunned silence. There were a couple places in Ireland and Scotland that did that too, where I went and did the tour of the Lagavulin, the factory there on the islands there in Scotland, and dude, there's some like. It's like you're in an old-timey poem, right? The wind's blowing in, and it's a little overcast, and you're just looking out over this pristine land, and you got like a beverage in your hand, and it's just, I don't know, there's a couple of places like that you see in nature that I can get a little emotional. And that's it's weird, but sometimes I'll be standing there looking at the ocean. Maybe the Oregon coast was that for people. Sometimes you just go someplace and you look at nature, and you shut up, you stop, and you stare. And that happened a couple times in Scotland and Ireland, where I just stared at this green grass and this beautiful landscape. And
It'd be like emotionally overwhelming.
Yeah,
Almost.
no, and there's like no, I'm not a photo taker. I didn't do anything. I just stood there and I was probably half drunk, but it was just an amazing experience. I'll never forget it.
Did a leprechaun hop out?
No, I wish. Wouldn't that be something? But like in that moment, I wish like there was like the only thing is I wish like there was some like distant bagpipes or something playing. I needed someone to just have some background music because it was just such an amazing experience.
So the Eiffel Tower has come in several times. What is it about the Eiffel Tower that's...
I think you see pictures of it, and I think it's just got the reputation of like, oh, if you're in Europe, you got to go see the Eiffel Tower. And it seems like one of those obligatory. You just got to stop because it's like the main landmark. But I didn't expect it to be, frankly, as big as it was. And then they have this whole kind of surrounding park that is gorgeous. And then on top of it, it's right on the river, so you can like take a boat right up to the base of it. It's just, I don't know. There's something that's really striking about it. Then they put on a light show with it at night, and I didn't expect it to be just this kind of behemoth thing, and it's awesome.
Cool.
Want to get there.
Yeah, me too.
Never have. I got a buddy of mine who just loves France. Because, France gets crapped on a bunch by the Americans. We love to, like, oh, rude and the French.
I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay.
Gay Paris. But
Well, the French can be rude.
Well, so can we. Have you seen when Americans travel?
Yeah, I think that if I were to rate, in all of my world travels, if I were to rate the rudest, it would be the French. But I've talked to French people about this. We had a great French waiter at a Christmas dinner in London one night, and we asked him about it because we were drunk, and he was really cool, and we had a good rapport. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, they're certainly rude as hell.
Sure.
But they're also, it's the same old adage, once you get to know them, they're wonderful, but they're bristly on the surface. Sort of, I don't know, like a defense mechanism, kind of.
Makes
like,
sense.
leave me alone. You're annoying. But then they'll give you the shirt off their back if you need it, if they know you. Which isn't a bad way to go.
No,
I mean, you don't want to be rude, but the French are like
they're known for it.
They're known for it.
Yeah.
Vancouver Ford text line, Bachelor's in. Expected it to suck. It was awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what. I underestimated. I've told that story. I underestimated the Bachelor's in.
Sounds like a lot of people have.
I did. I was not prepared for being licked by a meth head. I don't know how you prepare yourself for that, but it certainly was an experience. Then it burned down.
All right, we got to run Open Seggy next. I don't know. We'll find something to talk about. Here's Buck with Sports Center.
Now from the Fan Sports Desk.
go to Europe, it's a little.
Yes, the
little.
Germans aren't as warm and cuddly as.
Yeah, no, they're. Yeah, it's like.
You know,
who's winning? What is occurring?
Like I said, you know, you wherever you went, if you're minding your own business, if you make an attempt, you're not doing anything that's overly rude. You take a minute to actually read up on the customs, like, you know, maybe you have to ask for the check, or maybe you don't do this in a restaurant, or you know, whatever. Just do a little.
Try to have a little street smart and awareness.
Spend 10 minutes just Googling travel tips of wherever you're going.
I screw that, man.
And exactly.
They're lucky to have me.
Dude, I have seen so many. I'll tell you what, my experiences of being rude or being treated rudely or being treated poorly, where I was like, that was not the most comfortable thing in the world, versus having watched dumbass travelers, not just in the United States, but from other countries, just completely take a dump all over wherever they're at. That it happens way more the latter than the first one.
Well, there's a segment.
There's a seggy. That being said, everyone, if you have the means, I understand. I'm waiting for the one guy who's always going to text, must be nice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. And if you have it, and by the way, it's not as expensive as you think.
There's ways to ball on a budget.
Exactly. I ball on a budget. I have to haul my wiener kids everywhere, and I did for years and years.
My wife and I just wait for sick flight deals, and then we book stuff.
Yes. Well, I do a lot. I go to Skyscanner, and I put in like the dates that I want to travel, and it just kicks me out prices. And I'm like, well, we're going to St. Lucia at the end of the month. Guess why I'm going to St. Lucia?
Great deal.
$612 to fly round trip to St. Lucia.
Boom.
So next thing you know, St. Lucia, here I come.
Only reason I've been to Japan is because my wife and I found $400 round trip from San Francisco.
Right?
I mean, like, you can't get across the country for that cheap. So
no. When I was looking at it, I asked the BTJ, I was like, do you want to go someplace warm, or do you want to go someplace culturally cool? Because we were doing like this, like an anniversary trip for us. So I was like, do you want to go do Sweden, Ireland, something like that? She goes, no, let's go someplace warm. So I just picked warm destinations, and it was, I knew nothing about St. Lucia other than it was cheap to fly there, and Saint was in the name, so I figured that it was gonna be warm and a sandy beach.
It's gonna be great.
But if we all spent just a little bit of time traveling outside of the United States, it would benefit us so much.
Yeah.
Because our country is so big. I mean, we're like 15 countries wrapped in one. And we just need to get out of our bubble sometimes and realize that there's other people out there with something to offer. We're not that much different. Everyone kind of wants the same thing.
And we're not better than everybody.
Exactly.
Not even close.
Yeah. You may find other things that you're going to go somewhere and be like, I'm glad that I live in the United States for this. But there's other things you're going to be like, oh my God,
why don't we do this
Why
that
don't
way?
we do it that way? Let me start with bathroom technology.
Especially in Asia.
Their bathrooms blowing us away. It's ridiculous.
All right, we'll wrap it up next on The Fan.
A college gridiron reset.